G'day, well, with Inforunners, I'm Exe, joined this week again, as per usual, by old man himself, Algared. How you doing, mate?
I'm fairly well. School started back, the students are back. Their smiling faces, all those
Yes.
other wonderful things.
I can see
So,
my
yeah.
mum getting PTSD just from what you're mentioning right now. She watches this. She does watch a lot of these, so I can just see her having PTSD attacks from her time as a school teacher as
I
well.
can fully
So,
understand that.
yeah.
Still got a few of the stuff that, the pre-stuff that you do to finish, but yeah, most of it is done, and geared up for the new year and exciting time. The harder thing, having had long service leave and been off for basically 4 months, it is so hard coming back. Long service leave.
So we instilled laziness into you, right? Okay.
Long service leave is the bane.
Mm.
You get the time off, and then if it's attached, because you usually take a term if you're a teacher, you say take that. And then you get the long holidays, and you usually take term 4. In our school, we usually take term 4. So you end up with 6 weeks of Christmas plus whatever term 4 is, plus the 2 weeks beforehand. So you end up with about 4 months off. So you get this great time, and then you come back, and it's just trying to get yourself back into into teacher mode, into thinking like a teacher, and so it's a blessing and a curse.
My mum, the thing I kind of learned about my mum being a teacher was just how much homework she had to do at home, like all the non-paid for tasks as a teacher. So all the homework you got to mark and stuff like that. So people complain that they don't work enough, but it's kind of like a flight attendant. Like, did you know flight attendants are only paid while they're in the air?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they only get paid a very high rate, but only while they're in the air. But think about all the time they're on the ground. They have to stay in a city that they don't live in. They got to travel. They've also got to look really good. So they got to all the things that come with all that. And they've also got that customer service element even when they're not in the air. So it's just really kind of interesting. And I kind of think that's similar to teachers, where you've got all this work that you got to do outside of just the teaching. You've got to prep, you've got to mark, so it's a forward-facing job, but you only see a percentage of what they do. And I think there's a lot of careers like that, and that whole out of sight, out of mind element.
Yeah, there is a lot you have to do at home. Like I find, I'm part-time, and I find that on the time that I'm off, half of it I use to catch up, and that enables me to keep my evenings more or less to myself, or keep my weekends. Otherwise, they'd be gone.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Good to see some people. We are going to be going over a few things today. I was saying to Algared before the show, I want to go over the new graphics cards and how that kind of relates to Star Citizen, because I think it's really important to talk about that. I also, if I can find it real quickly, where is it? I'll flick it over. So I put this up earlier. Where the hell was it? Why the hell has it disappeared? It's meant to have a thing called community, and it's disappeared. Where the hell is the community tab gone? I feel blind. I'm not blind, am I? There's a community tab missing there. That's really weird. Posts. Oh, maybe they've changed it to posts. Oh, there we go. It's called posts now, not community. So I put this up probably a couple of hours ago. What is it? It says an hour ago. I put it up probably an hour or two ago. But I basically wanted to get people's opinion on the Misfortune versus the Vulture. So if you guys are watching and you would be kind enough, I'd just like to get your guys' thoughts on what your take is. Me and I are going to use that. The other thing I want to get today from you guys is, now you've also probably had a chance to check out the Misfortune, is the little nuances between the two, right? And little things that you've found. So, because I think it's going to be one of those reviews, Algared, where it's all the small things, not just this blaringly obvious thing. Because me and Algared were looking for, like we talked about the land salvage and things like that. But I'm starting to notice that small little things, like how will the Fortune work with the Expanse series and the Prospector and stuff like that, because it's got those external essential saddlebags type of thing. So it allows someone to come along and just take it off and kind of work together easier, with the Vulture being internalized. you've kind of got to open the back door, but also you kind of get security. So you see how there's a give and take there, security versus ease of access.
And yet I still see the Misfortune as being better for in atmosphere because you've got the two distinct sections, whereas the vulture, to me, is so much better for in space because everything is contained. You can get to every part of your ship from the cockpit.
Yep.
And so for me, it feels the vulture is better for space salvage, and I still think the Misfortune trumps the vulture for planet side.
Yeah. So I sent you this during the week, but you didn't reply to me. So I'm going to assume that you haven't seen it. But tell me if you have.
That.
Right.
Yeah, I did see that.
So this kind of confirmed to me for SCU. I was pretty sure it had a cargo grid from the stuff in the files, and I had people coming back to me in the comments saying, no, there's no boom for SCU. So it's not 12, but 4. So at least then you could take 4 off the outside and bring it in. That essentially therefore puts this to, what's that, 12 plus 4 is 16. So I still think that's kind of pretty cool, but clearly this is obviously for components and weapons as well, like they showed in the trailer. So yeah, I don't know. I'm still weighing it up in my head. I think there are pros for both and there are cons for both, and I think that's a good thing. So there is still clear differences, even though this is our essentially first double up ship. But you and I will go into that, and obviously I just want to get people's feedback. So if you've got a statement that you want to make, just I know the bots for questions, but like just say about the Misfortune. I just want to tell you about this cool thing. So just little nuggets, or have you consider it being used this way and stuff like that, because that's what Algared and I are going to need for this review, and that shit takes a lot of time to find, and it's not the type of shit that Algared and I can just go out and accidentally find it on our own. So we're going to kind of crowdsource this one a little bit, if that's what you're wondering. So because we could state the obvious, but you've seen that in all the other reviews, right? So I want to kind of accumulate all the stuff and talk about all the stuff. So we've got that kind of review that'll sit there, and when someone comes along and they're new to the game and they've never seen this shit, that they can go, right, well, here's my informed choice. And so essentially what our review will be, Algared, not to put words in your mouth, will be Misfortune versus Vulture, the showdown, whatever you want to call it. And I don't think there needs to be one better than the other. I think you would agree with me on that. It really is just the differences.
Yeah, look, I did see some comments saying, oh, you know, we keep harping on about the Misfortune being for ground salvage and only for ground salvage. I don't think we ever said it was only for ground salvage.
If I believed everything I read in those comments, well, some person tells me that I don't play the game, I just use Google. That's apparently what I do, Algared.
Oh, okay.
What would you say to that? Pretty much.
But like I found that I don't think either of us was saying it was only ever for ground salvage. We were saying it is better for.
Yes.
And I still hold that, because just because of the way it sits and works, it to really be able, like, yes, you can access your lift and components in space for EVA via the lift, and etc. But it's easier to do that.
It's much like I just said about the internal cargo versus the external cargo. It's just a difference. It's what is preferred for doing that task. That's it.
And yet, when you look at the space version, if you're using this with an expanse, you know, the Misfortune with an expanse, the ability to get those boxes off very quickly and easily trumps the Vulture.
Well, it's also a negative too, because they can be stolen easier. So that's what I mean. Different tasks for different roles. Like if you're working with a prospector in an expanse, it'd make sense to use this, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and yet I still see, even with that advantage, I still see the Vulture better for in space, just because everything is combined. So yes, you can, you know, you've got that little lift at the back where they say, oh, you can put your components there. The Vulture can do that as well. You can put your components in the back and still get your cargo in there, or you can put your weapons in the back and still get your cargo in there, because that's what I do on the Vulture. And the advantage of that is, if I need to change components, I don't need to get out of EVA out of my ship. I just go to the back, pick up a component, and put it in. So blessings and curses.
Yep. So I'm reading a question. We've only got 2 questions that have come in, by the way. So this is going to be another quick stream. but there's obviously a new person there called JFam. And my heart is bleeding for him. So I'm going to read this question. So he says, question, guys, I upgraded the Prospective Fortune War Bond and didn't get the LTI. What did I do wrong?
You used an original ship but didn't have LTI.
Yeah, I feel sorry for him, man. It's very misleading. So essentially what's happened is whatever your default ship is not always the case unless it's a special upgrade that it applies LTI. You've essentially will have what the original ship had. So your original prospector wouldn't have had LTI. So essentially, though you paid real cash to upgrade, you've only bought an upgrade. You haven't brought an LTI, and that's your problem, dude. I'm just trying to think of a way he could fix it. Is there an LTI token out at the moment? I don't think there is there?
And that's why we often talk about LTI tokens. LTI tokens are those very small, cheap ships or vehicles which you can upgrade from.
Is there one out at the moment or not? I don't think there is there? The only one
not.
Yeah, if you really want LTI, you're going to be looking at buying I'm just wondering if there's one of the starters, because they did bring out the Chinese... Yeah, this one. I don't reckon it'll have LTI. I'll just double check, but I'm pretty sure it won't. No, none of these will. Nope.
Let me just have a quick look.
Yeah. Shit ton out of luck, bro, unfortunately. Unless you know someone that can help you with an LTI token, you're shit out of luck. So essentially what an LTI token is something that is cheap that has LTI. So say they brought out a new vehicle, right? And it's got to be new. You then buy it for cash, get the LTI, and then you upgrade it into. So in your case, what you could do is just hold on to the Fortune or buy yourself an upgrade, like a cheap upgrades for the ship just under the Fortune. So let's go have a look at that and help him out with that. It's a two-part process.
Well, the first thing is your prospect, your game pack. Because if he's only got the game pack,
well, yeah, that's true.
Then he would need to get a game pack with LTI if he just wants to have the one ship.
Yep. Yeah, so you need there is a referral bonus out, so we would have to get him a referral, but yeah, why am I not logged in right now? That's weird. Anyway, let's log in. I don't know why they logged me out, but anyway. So back to, come on, what the hell is going on with the clicking? Ship upgrades, here we go. Right. So let's have a quick look at this. We're looking at the Fortune. You want the War Bond edition, which gives you a discount, and then you would want something like the Ballista would be the way to go, right? Because you could obviously get that at Invictus, right? So you're looking, it's reset itself to Australia, but that'd be $22. I've got to go back here and change this to USD so it doesn't do our funny boomerang dollars. What do we call them? Not boomerang dollars. We call them dollaritos. That's right, dollaritos. Right. But yeah, long story short, so for $20, that'll secure that cheaper price for the Fortune, if that's the ship that you really want. And then at a later date, you can pick up an LTI token, so something in Invictus or something like that, that's somewhere between $30 to $50. And then you take that and upgrade it up into the Ballista, and then from the Ballista, the Fortune. And that would then give you LTI. But as Algared said, if it's your starter pack, JFam, not game package, the website just didn't make it very clear. And that's the whole problem with this shit. It is really unclear, and that's why people eventually make their way to us, because we try to make it clear. But it's like trying to... It's just overkill. Yeah,
unravel string.
Yeah, it's insanely complex for no reason. And even like when we talked to Ben and John, they were like, Ben went like this and he went like, how it's too hard for them to understand.
Ben said he still didn't get it.
Yeah.
You know, so he did. I still remember that, you know, so yeah. And it does take a while to get your head around. Like, if we didn't do this or hadn't been doing this so often, I think we'd be lost.
There are there's times that one of us will say something and then we're doubtful because of the complexity. I think that's one of the cool things about doing this, though, and having the other boys there as well at the mods and stuff like that, is because if you want to check something, you've always got someone now you can check it for. Like, and it's the same in the Discord. You can just drop in there and go, hey, can someone double check this for me? Bang, and they'll do it just to give you peace of mind. Yeah, I think that's cool. And also, I kind of agree with this comment too. Monte Carlo simulations, let's just said CCUs are made complex, I think, so people give up and just swipe. Yeah, I do think that's a part of it.
In fact, like, in fairness to CIG, the original concept of the CCUs or the upgrades was for those people with packs, so they could change the ships in their packs to upgrade them to the newer ships, so that so they didn't have to keep melting the pack. The original completionist pack had one of every ship, but two of the it would have had two Aurora LNs. It would have had two Mustang Alphas. No, Mustang betas. Not betas. The military version, and it would have two Super Hornets and two of each of our ships. And the second ship was so that you could upgrade it. Like, that was specifically why the second one was there, so you could upgrade that ship.
Now, do you want to tell people what I'm doing right now, Algared? Do you notice what I'm doing right now?
No, because I was actually looking through my game package to see if I had a cheap game package with LTI that would possibly be able to help JFAM.
Well, we could be really, really nice and just give him a ship.
Well, we could be very nice and just give him a ship. Have you got one in mind?
We'll have to do. Well, ironically, we do actually have a Misfortune.
Yeah, ironically, we do have a Misfortune.
So what I'm actually doing here is this is me melting off all the skins I brought for this sale. Right, so they go into buyback, and then I can it removes that limited state of them. So basically, I have this limited time thing, but I just buy them with credit and then melt them into buyback, and I can buy them at any time. Right? So let's and
then they're sitting in his buyback. Yeah.
Let's do a poll, right? Because so it'll be no cheap, and then I think the other one I'll have to figure out how to word this. Hang on, right? So it'll be starting Q&A. Give was it JFAM? JFAM. Ship. No, that's a Q&A.
I think so. Just do it. There you go. That's my
No. Yeah, I know. Hang on.
I'm feeling kind and generous today.
What the hell's wrong with you? What did you do with the ruler?
I know. I'm usually one who's saying,
you're trying to twist his arm.
Julian's executes usually, do this, and I'm like, no, keep it simple.
Yeah.
No.
Right, so we'll start that one there, and I'll do one here, and poll, and we've got give JFM a ship starter. What was it? Fortune. Or hell no. Right, just see what they say. Right, so that's it, giving the Fortune. It's pretty funny. All right, but so far he's at 82%. We'll let that run for a few minutes. But yeah, if you guys want to do, we were going to do that as a giveaway, like actual, like do it on the channel. But if you guys feel like, you feel sorry for him because he fucked up, there's a few people saying just give it to the poor fella. All right, but I want to do it in a way that people think is fair, because you're giving up the chance to get it yourself. So I want to be, diplomatic here. And it is going down, by the way. So, sorry, JFAM. But again, that's how you learn for your lesson. We will give you a starter that you can upgrade. So we'll give you the LTI token, and it's a really good teaching moment if you think it. Like, instead of just giving him the ship, it will then teach him to melt the ship, how to upgrade the ship, how to turn it into what he was originally doing, so he learns how to fix the problem for himself. That's why I want to do the starter thing, because we'll go through it all with him right now. Like, we'll pull him into Discord, and we'll go through it with him, and then he'll know how to do it. Right?
Yeah, a mini fix my fleet.
Yeah. So we're all about teaching, like teachable moments, because like just giving it to someone, that doesn't teach them how to, stops them from walking into minefields type of thing. It just skips them over the minefield.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at. I'd rather teach, but I'm happy to give that away if that's what you guys want to do. But let us know in chat too. Yeah, it's totally fine. Right, let me just melt off the rest of these so I can get rid of them. Right. Have you actually had much of a chance to get into the Fortune yet, or have you been too busy with school stuff? Because I know you've been real busy this week. So
I've been absolutely swamped with school stuff.
all right, so we'll have to get in tomorrow then, or later today. And,
yeah.
Yep.
I honestly have not had a chance. It's just been strike. I think Tuesday or Wednesday was 13 or 14 hours just doing, and that was just doing the essential stuff that needed doing. You know, jumping through the hoops that the Department of Education demands.
You know you're going to get no sympathy when you've just told people you've had 4 months off, Algared. You know that, right?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, cool. Did you pick up this, by the way? They offered this for free. You might want to go pick that up. So you know all those red envelopes we've been collecting over the years? Yep. They made a stand for it for free. So you might want to go pick that up. It's in the newsletter. So just go get it. It's a free thing on the store. So yeah.
I will definitely need to go into the store and
Yep. All right. There is my thing cleared up.
And no, I didn't have a cheap pack with LTI. Got lots of standalone ships with LTI.
Well, I also picked up this Algared. I think I told you about this. So I picked this up back when the Guardian came out because CIG gave us a Guardian to give away. We weren't a big fan of the Guardian, so I actually went and picked this up, and this will turn the Guardian into a Paladin. So we will eventually do a Paladin giveaway as well. So we're going to turn the Guardian into a Paladin. I thought that was kind of cool. But and maybe I should have done that, or Paladin. Paladin for everyone. So they 6 people said Fortune on Twitch and 65. So we're going to give them the Fortune. I'm cool with that. If you are cool with that, if you could reach out to me, JFam, via Discord, and I'll get that sent off to you ASAP. If you want, and that'll give you the Fortune. And if you want help with CCUs, you can either contact me or Algared, or jump on the Discord and get people to go through it with you. There is a channel. I don't know.
Well, CCU help, which we do need to rename.
Why does it need to be renamed?
Because they're not CCUs anymore.
Oh, upgrade help. Yeah, true. I'll change that right now.
CIG have changed the name, so you'll often hear people talk about CCUs and upgrades. We're trying to get out of using CCUs because CIG don't call them CCUs anymore. They call them upgrades. So
it's now called upgrades. I just changed it right then.
So we were so going to upgrade help or upgrades help, and either we or people with
it's generally because we're both busy. There'll be other people there, but they're all vetted by us.
If they are,
they have that icon, so they'll have a CCU helper icon. It's like a square. They'll have shapes.
Yeah. But anyone with a CCU helper icon has been vetted by us. They know what they're talking about. Other people in that channel may know what they're talking about, but they haven't been vetted by us.
Let me see.
So I don't.
Hang on. I clicked the wrong button. That would have dropped our voice there. Hang on. Let's see if I can add a Windows capture, and then I want to go. No, it's not going to give me one. I'm going to have to create a new one. Because I've got it in streamer mode at the moment, and Discord. All right, cool. That will chuck that in the background. So this is our Discord. Doing it on the fly as we always do. Terribly messy. And then I'm going to drop that down to somewhere down here. There we go. Right. So this is our Discord. So you can see there, Lemming's got a Vanguard icon, and then you can see this Idris Vel. They have that square kind of icon. That is a CCU helper. We're gonna have to rename the role to upgrades helper as well. I've just realized that as well. But they're the upgrades helper. They're the type of people you want to look for. And again, they do really cool things like this, where he's gone through and he's talked about all the CCUs, the best ones to get, and all this type of stuff. This is why these people are in here, because they're here to help, right? Same thing. Lemming, anyone that's a mod, you can almost guarantee straight off the bat they're also an upgrades helper, because that's why they help out on the Discord so much, because they really know their shit. And you can actually see that me and Algared are in this recording room live. That this is the room that we come to do this shit. But a lot of people can't see these channels, by the way. This is what it looks like for Inforunners.
They're secret channels. Secret.
So they're hidden and stuff.
But and I will say, like, in terms of Lemming knowing his stuff, he's often these days he's often the guy we go to double check our
because he's
CCU stuff.
He's got more time. He's got more time. But yeah, that's why we bring him on. That's why we get him in
Yep.
here as well, because he knows it as well as we do, if not better, as you said. So yeah, I hope that kind of explains it out for you, JFam. Yeah, I don't know if you have Discord or not, but that is the easiest way to get a hold of me. If you put a message out to Algared, he will eventually get back to you as well. But if you guys ever want to get in contact with me, that is the best way to get in contact with me, is just Discord. You can either go onto the Inforunners Discord and just right click my name and send me a message. Just tell, I would say in your first message, tell me what it's about, though, because the other thing Algared will tell you, I don't know if this happened to you, Algared, but I'm getting a lot of people spamming. There's a lot of people looking for work and stuff like that. So if you just say hello to me and don't tell me what it's about, I'm going to assume you're a spammer. So
and just go
delete,
block.
Yeah, but pretty much. So basically, long story short, just tell me in context what it's about. Say, hey, I need some help with some upgrades or blah blah blah. So yeah. But yeah, we'll get that set off to you. So yeah, kind of weird. I was thinking about how we're going to give that thing away, but okay, cool. First come, first serve, I guess. So yeah.
Well, it's not necessarily first come, first serve. It's kind of,
you know what I mean, though.
Yeah, it's helping a new person who screwed up.
Yeah,
who didn't understand the bog, which is the store. And
well, let's ask him then. What other ships do you have, JFam? Oh, or if you want to get on Discord, drop in the general voice, and you can come talk to us, and we'll talk you through it, because I know that that's something people enjoy seeing, our Fix My Fleet series and stuff, and we don't get as much chance to do it anymore. So if you want to get into voice,
we'll drag you up and we'll talk to you live and talk about what ships you've got. And hopefully you don't have 50 million ships, which would be really sad. Especially if you've made that same mistake.
I'm just messaging him now.
Yeah.
And wise, I need your RSI email. Okay, did you want to look at the series of card stuff, and I go through that now?
Yeah, let's do that while we
What do you want to take?
Wait and see.
What do you want to take a question or two? I haven't even checked to see how many more questions came in.
We've got about half a dozen questions, so I'm quite happy to let the questions
pile up for a little bit,
for a little bit more, and accumulate. Get those juices flowing, guys.
Okay, so I'm trying to think of how I'm going to show this off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show it from an Australian perspective, but again, essentially it's been the same kind of across the world. So this is one of the retailers in Australia. You'd know these guys pretty well, Algared, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
There's a few others. I think there's about 6 or 7 different retailers, but it was the same thing across the board. If you actually go in and check out their graphics cards, they essentially are just all like this. Just sold out. Now, the recommended retail in Australia, and I can't believe I'm saying this, should have been about $4,000, right? Now, if you actually do the exchange rates, so if I actually go to, this just shows you an Australian problem, just an Australian problem, who gives a shit, right? But I just want to put it so our audience understands it's just a little issue, right? So if I put in $2,000 US, you would make the assumption, based on the exchange rate, that they're about $3,218, right? But in actual fact, this is what they're selling for, right? And even the cheapest one is literally like 4,000, right? So they are way overpriced for what they should be. This has just always been a thing with Australia. For some reason, that they did government inquiries into it, they could never find out why. But you'll also see there's some ridiculous ones that are like water cooled, and they're like $5,700, which is absolutely bananas. So to go back, say we go pre-pandemic levels, Algared, you could get an entire PC for that.
Oh yeah.
So the inflation here has just gone absolutely off the charts, right? But I know it's bad in every place. I just wanted to point it out. It's on another level here.
Yep. The tyranny of distance is our bane.
Yeah.
And like that conversion fee, we will also get back 10%. GST added on. I know some places have even worse GST or value
the
added tax.
The UK has really bad tax, but long story short, like we get it pretty good compared to other places when it comes to tax. It shouldn't be. Again, how can you go from 3,200 to over $4,000? That's not GST. That is some kind of middleman tax thing that's going on there.
Even with GST, that would have been 3,570 or something like that. So
even at peak COVID, I got a 3080 for $2,300, and I thought that was insane, right? Because the card before that I got was a Titan X. So I think the 1080 series, but the Titan that cost me $1,800. So that means a whole generation later, and I'm paying more for the card underneath than the card above. Right. And now we're getting to the point where this is essentially the Titan equivalent for this generation, and they're now at $5,000, which is just like 2.5 times what I paid for the 10 series Titan. So yeah, it's crazy.
It is. And unless you're a top end gamer or a top end YouTube producer or whatever else, you don't need that.
So I'll simplify this. I'll simplify it really quickly then, right? The top end card is really only super effective in 4K. You can get away with the 5080 if you're playing in 2K. And long story short, there's not much of an upgrade from the 4080 to the 5080. It's really soft, right? So if you've already got a 4080 or 4090, you don't really need to upgrade. All the features really came in DLS or AI type software stuff, and a lot of the older cards are getting those features anyway, right? So the only really card worth buying, if you're insane, is the 5090. And I know that sounds a weird way to say it, but this has about a 27% upgrade over the previous generation, where when you go down to the other cards, it gets a lot lower. It's like down to 5-10%. So long story short, don't get one of these unless your computer's completely out of date and you really need one. Now, as a content creator, I could justify getting one because of the things they do for me in Algared, like better rendering when we're doing OBS and stuff like that. But Algared knows I saved up I was going to buy one of these, and I'm a little turned off because it hasn't given the performance gains it should have given.
And if you are trying to build your computer specifically for Star Citizen, don't even worry about it, because at the moment Star Citizen is still not optimized.
Absolutely.
So, and look, I'll be honest, I'm still running a 1080 Ti.
Yeah.
And my 1080 still gives me Star Citizen.
That allows the frame rate to match your old man vibes. You know, they run at the same frame rate.
That's right. Maybe that's why it is. You know, it runs at my pace.
Yeah.
I'll never be a top FPS player. Fat finger syndrome is just too much of an issue these days.
So the last two things I want to go over is it was a paper launch. There was not many of them out there. This went up at 1 a.m. here in Australia, and within literally, it was like a javelin. You know, they were all gone in like 10 seconds. It was absolutely nuts.
Yeah, and then they war bond javelins.
Yeah. And then they did some later in the day at 4:30 p.m. Same thing again. They're all gone in a mere moment of seconds, right?
So it was a Star Citizen sale.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. The other thing that's really come out is that the 5080 is really more like a 5070, and the 5090 is more like a 5090 Ti. They did the same thing they did last generations, where they stuffed with the names, and they were not really what they were named as. So when you kind of do that, my whole thing is, if you don't really need one, wait 12 months and the prices will drop, and they're more than likely they're going to bring out new cards within the next 12 months that are what they actually should be, right? So again, this is NVIDIA going, we are now an AI company. We're just going to screw over the gamers because we don't give a shit, right? Yep. And again, when they got...
Monster...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, as Monster AV says in chat, hopefully AMD do something...
That's the other
comparable with their cards. So.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that, so we'll talk about it in a second. But yeah, long story short, this is them not having enough competition, and this is what it's not a monopoly, but it's getting that way pretty quickly, right? And that's what you got to worry about. Right. So the last thing I'll say is AMD. Some of the leaks that come out from them is they are not. You know how you kind of got 3 series. You got like low, medium, and high. They're not making the high ones, but the medium and lows look so positive. They might be either equal, around about the same power as the 5070, the 5080 so the low and the medium. So those two, give it a couple of months, and again, they did a paper launch, and I think the reason they did a paper launch was to come out just before AMD, because AMD apparently they're coming out next month along with their CPUs.
Yep.
And I will be picking up a new CPU. I've got the motherboard and RAM sitting out the hallway, but you can't do shit with it without the CPU. So it's just sitting out there.
Yeah, you're just waiting for a CPU to arrive.
Yeah. And I haven't decided which I'm going to get yet. I'm either going to get a more than likely get a 9900 X3D or a 9950 X3D, depending on what we need for the show. I'm going to wait for reviews and then have a look. Obviously, the more cores, the more shit we can do quicker. So yeah, right.
Yep.
I'm just going to check with Dread real quick. He's messaged me a couple of messages. Sorry, had to get everything set up. I will join in 1 sec. All right, yeah, cool. So if you just
there he is. He's...
drag him up. Wait, you got to sit. No, got to see his roll first.
Oh.
Right, I've set his roll to Merlin. All right, now drag him up.
Done that?
Yeah, drag him up. I'll drag him up. All right, he's muted, but when you're ready, Dread, just or his name's Dread on Discord, but JFam Dread, same thing. So just unmute when you're ready, Dread. Or get your mic set up and just let us know when you're around, and we'll talk to you about it then.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing, man?
Perfect. I'm just on a phone, so
Ooh,
I'm still at work.
classic. What do you do for work?
Diesel mechanic.
Ooh, my stepdad was a mechanic, so I know a little bit about that. All right, so how many ships do you have? We'll start there.
I just got a Zeus and a C1, so kind of just started getting into switching, insurances and trying to get them on deals and stuff like that. So,
yep. How long have you been playing the game for, roughly?
Just about 2 years,
okay,
on and off. Kind of take breaks every now and again.
Yep. I would not. I would be doing the same thing if I wasn't covering it. So don't worry. Algared, you want to say something? I'm going to cut you off there.
No, I was just going to say. So, it wasn't really big. It was just just going down the rabbit hole, something like that. But
yep,
just starting.
Yep. So essentially, if we give you a fortune, what next ship would be on the horizon for you?
Probably the Ironclad if it comes out later. I know I was trying to look at a CCU to it, but the CCU to it wasn't coming up for like the $400 one. For some reason, when you go to upgrades, it wasn't coming up, only the $450 one, so I didn't end up doing anything with that.
Yeah, so because it would have essentially gone past it for War Bond, but if you brought it non-War Bond, you should have been. Wait, aren't they the same price? Let's to double check that. Pretty sure they're the same price. I did pick it up. So what do you have LTI on your C1 or your C2? Sorry.
Not on the C1, just the Zeus. I got the Zeus when it was like 150, I think. I said and upgraded it. And I got the LTI with it.
Sorry, is it a C1 or a C2?
C1 and then a Zeus. Okay, the CL.
And you, what ship you were trying to upgrade to the Ironclad?
You probably the CL because I got it when it was 150. Now it's 175 and it has LTI.
Okay. It's really annoying because, like, if this had been a week ago when that sale was on, we could have done that and just helped him. But now...
So, the other question is, what's your game pack?
I think it's the C1.
C1's your
which
game
is
pack?
6 months. Okay. Yeah, so it could be just erased and got another one.
No, you just hold on to that and don't kind of touch it. Just leave it where it is. Yep. I think you'll be fine with that. Or you really got to wait till the end of the year. So when the Intrepid come out, they're the only kind of ones that you can kind of get like that. What the hell is going on with my web page? It's going funky. It's telling me I'm logged in, but I'm not logged in. Yeah, there we go.
And the other thing we usually do when we're starting a Fix My Fleet are what are the 3 professions that you actually want to do in game?
Usually cargo and then just industrial gameplay.
Right. So if you trying to find this Intrepid, it'd be just before Luminalia, wouldn't it? Brain, you know what to work here. God, man, I've already done 5 pages already in that short period of time. All right, so here we go. I got an Intrepid starter pack, right? So you can see there it actually comes with the. Can you see the screen at the same time?
Yeah.
Right, so you can see that it comes with a copy of the game, lifetime insurance, stuff. You want to get this or something akin to this, and at the end of the year, and then recycle your C1 around to do this. And that way you'll have your game package with LTI. That's the only way to do it these days. You there?
Yeah. Yep. Can you hear me? Yep.
Oh,
that makes sense.
No, you just dropped out for a second. It's all good. So long story short, they're more than likely, because they've done the Intrepid last year, they'll probably do some variants for the Intrepid. And if you pick up one of those, like this pack, it'll more than likely come with everything similar to this. So you'll get a starter ship and the game, and then you can just take that and turn it back into the C1 or any other ship that you want. And if you don't need a package, obviously in Invictus there'll be something that would allow you to turn any ships that don't have LTI into that.
And thank you, is it Viper? Thank you, Wayne, for that $50.
Very generous.
Super chat, and he says, well done, fellas, for helping out a fellow citizen.
Well, that's what we're here for.
That's what we try and do.
Yeah.
The other question I've got, just to confirm for me, the C1 is your starter pack?
Yeah. Yep, I just looked at it.
And that has LTI already, correct?
Yeah. No, it's 6 months.
Okay. Yep. So, as saying, you ultimately want to recycle that.
Now I could
pick up.
I picked this up for myself as a spare, but I am willing to part with it if it would help you out. Or you can wait until it's available again to pick up. It's up to you. But that I picked up for myself, which is a Prowler to Ironclad CCU, right? So I just melt it, buy it back for cash, and you can get it off me at cost price, right? So whatever it costs, so I think it's like $10 or whatever, right? So long story short, that'll then allow you to turn one of your ships into a Prowler and then apply this and would turn into the Ironclad. And
that makes sense.
And that secures that price before it goes up. Because the rumor going around at the moment, and it is possible, it's not saying this is exactly what's happening, but John Crew knew about the Ironclad at not last year's CitizenCon, but the year before, right?
Which was why when people asked him about the Drake Corvette, he gave his...
Yeah, because he knew it was in production. Me and Algared also found out when we were at CitizenCon, it takes them about 18 months to make them. The turnaround time is 18 months to build a ship. You do the math. CitizenCon, 1 year round to the next CitizenCon is 12. Another 6 months to Invictus. Boom. There's the Ironclad. 18 months. So long story short is this could be coming out Invictus. Therefore, the price... That's why I'm offering it to you now. Right? Because the price could go up, and when it comes out, like that'll go up by somewhere between 10 to 20%. So you're looking at a $40 to $80 jump, essentially.
Now, the big thing there, though, is even if you do get that upgrade, do not apply the upgrades until you've got a base ship that has LTI.
Yeah.
Because insurance follows the original ship. Or the original game pack.
So you could make that your game pack, or you can pick up an LTI token and make it that. So you said you've got
a Zeus?
C1 and a Zeus, is that what it was?
Yeah. Yep, the CL Zeus with LTI.
So the problem he's got no actual game pack, because if he melts the C1, and he wants to keep the Zeus with the LTI. So what I'd probably do is I'd probably take the Zeus and turn it into the Ironclad if you want the Ironclad at Invictus. That would be my and then when IE comes around this year or whatever, when there's a starter pack, pick that up, melt the C1, and then upgrade that starter ship back into the C1 or a Zeus or whatever you want to turn it back into.
Yeah. That makes sense. It's the CCU thing kind of on the website, it says we'll upgrade to a $5 war bond, and then you click that war bond and it says LTI. So it kind of gives you the misconception that when you upgrade to it, you get then the LTI. So that's where I was kind of getting confused.
Well, this is why we're kind of happy they removed the term CCUs, because it didn't need to exist. It's like war bonds. It shouldn't be called war bond. It should just be called cash.
Yeah.
Because it essentially makes something that's convoluted even more convoluted.
And the idea of those upgrades that are cash purchases is they give you a bigger discount. And so if you compare the two CCs or the two upgrades you could have purchased, one would have been a war bond, one would have not been. and you'll see there's
Yeah.
one would have been cheaper, but giving you the same discount.
Yep.
And so,
yep. Again, look, Dub Coyote is bringing up a totally valid point. You can get 10 years insurance on starters, absolutely. But by the same token, we all have the luxury of time when it comes to Star Citizen. So you if you can get LTI, why wouldn't you get it? It's just that simple, right? And you're going to be here by Invictus at the end of the year, are you not, JFM?
Yeah.
So again, knowing that it's like what 6 to 9 over, 9 months away, I'm pretty sure you can save up $50 to $80 and have that ready to go when a starter pack drops. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's a few cars to fix, but I'm sure you'll fix a few between now and then. So yeah,
exactly.
Look, and the other thing is, if you do take the upgrade option for the Ironclad, don't apply the upgrades until the Ironclad's out and you want to fly it. Just leave them in your hangar. Don't melt them. Just leave them in your hangar, and that locks in the price. And that's probably the easiest bit of advice to give, really, isn't it?
Yep. All right.
Yeah, and that's what I usually like to do, is just sit on stuff till it comes out, because you never know until it actually comes out and people play with it how the ship actually is. So.
Well, some people just like to get every ship. I like to get every ship. I'm feeling very poor at the moment because I can't.
It's a slippery slope, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Check your email as well. I've just sent the Misfortune off to you as well.
Perfect. Yep, I got it. Thank you guys so much.
No worries. But if you want that Ironclad, or again asking the upgrades help, I'm sure someone else will help you out with an upgrade CCU. If you don't want mine, or if you want mine, just let me know and I'll melt it. And I have to buy it back for cash to be able to make it giftable to you. But you give me the cash for it and it's all yours. That's generally what I do. Like a lot of these rare stuff or older stuff that I hold on to, or anything that I hold on to, if I have it and I don't really need it, I'm happy to part with it for the price I paid for it. Stuff like that. So yeah, if you want to hold that one, just reach out and let me know, and I'll
I'll definitely send you a message, because
yep.
Like I said, I kind of like how you can save money and slowly work it up. It's just getting into the CCUs. It's kind of a lot to take on and learn, because it's like, well, what do you upgrade this to this, and what has insurance, what doesn't. So.
Yeah. Well, again, if you've got time to sit on things too, the more upgrades that come down the chain, you can put in there and get that. You can bring that price of the Ironclad right down. So I don't know how much of our content that you watch, but I did that with a Polaris, and I managed to get a Polaris for about $135.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's kind of the thing, because I even saw it with just the Zeus. I got it at 150. Then it came out at 175. Well, now I could still upgrade it and have it at 175 for the upgrade. So you do kind of save that money once they're released.
That's right.
Yep, that's absolutely correct. So yeah.
What I would suggest you do is go back and have a look at our series on Fix My Fleet, and there are a couple that we do. The last couple of years we've done one during the sale, and just using the CCUs from that sale, we've been able to bring the price down significantly. But if you do it over several sales, you can often bring those prices down 10, 20, 30, 40, sometimes 50, 60%. My Perseus is a classic example. I got it down to, I think, $295 or around that price, which was, I was happy to pay that, but I wasn't happy to pay $600. So
yeah. You're looking for a skin, by the way. I'm a big fan of the Windfall paint for the Misfortune. Shit! I just made a fucking huge mistake. Fuck. I just realized we don't have a Misfortune now to do the review, because I just gave it to him. Ah! I'm gonna have to borrow Misfortune to review on the weekend. That's funny. Fuck.
Send it on back.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We've got plenty of people that'll help us out. It's fine. We'll find someone. We've got heaps of people we can reach out to. It's just an annoyance that, like, for example, there's one that you guys haven't seen yet. I think we showed this recently, but we did a review of the Starlancer Max, and neither of us had a Starlancer Max, so we had to go out and grab one of our friends. Got Sandig or Alex, and he helped us. So that's sitting there. Or is it? there, ready to go to you guys when we get around to releasing it. But so we just got people that we know, so we'll just have to do the same thing. But it would have been, I should have done that first and then send it to you, but it's fine.
Yep.
We'll live around it.
Indeed.
It's not the end of the world.
And I was actually surprised they released it with, there's really no good options for good insurance. They usually release them with 10 years, don't they?
No. When a ship first comes out, it will always have the option to buy it with LTI. And then, like, the very next time that this Misfortune is up for sale, so say Invictus, it'll be IA at the end of the year. It'll be up like 10 years or whatever. So yeah.
But usually, when they're on sale, just throughout the year, it's 6 months. So, but yeah.
All right. Hey Pete, how you doing? Good to see you, Pistol Pete. Right. We'll let you go, J fam.
Down to
thanks for
General.
And any more?
Thank you so much.
No worries, man. Take care.
Thanks for popping by. Bye.
Right. Okay.
All right. I am going to go down to a question that popped in from Twitch right down the bottom, because it ties in with what we were just previously talking about. It said, Citizen Ninja said, "Do you know anyone who managed to get a 580 or a 590?"
No, I don't know anyone that personally got one. I guess I could reach out and look online, but I haven't really gone out of my way to ask people. As I said to Algared, I had one in the cart, and I hesitated because it was not the brand that I wanted. And then when I went to click the button, it was gone. So if I hadn't waited 5 seconds, I would have had one. But it wasn't the brand that I wanted. I wanted
literally literally like a Star Citizen sale for a Javelin.
It's all right. In about a month, I'll be out and I'll just get the one I want then. As I said, like, they clearly paper launched because I think it's got to do with the AMD stuff. I think they basically they know that when those AMD ones drop, because they're so much cheaper in price as well, it's not going to be just like, if the performance is relatively the same and you've got one card at 1,000 and another card at 699, with math. Like, people are going to just buy the cheaper one. It's like, because we're in hard times at the moment. So Nvidia's like, oh, if we get it early, we're just going to make a whole bunch of money. And that's what they've done. And I wouldn't be surprised when the AMD ones come out that Nvidia doesn't drop their price a little bit.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised if that, like, in Australia, there were so few available. And I wouldn't be surprised if part of that was because the living conditions are hard, that
it was everywhere.
Bought less.
It was everywhere. No, it wasn't brought less. They wanted them, but they just didn't have supply. So it's not just here. It's America, Canada. I just used Australia because obviously you and I are from there, and I understand those stores. But it was the same thing globally. Like, it's a paper. They call it a paper launch because it's. To give an example, Intel released their. It's not Black Mage, something Mage cards, right? So they're second generations of graphics cards, and there just wasn't any to buy. They were really cheap, really effective, good if you just wanted a really low-end graphics card, but nobody could get them because they just didn't have any.
Yeah. No, I was going back. I was thinking when earlier in the week when we were talking, you were saying you talked to your friends who worked in the shop and said, "Oh, we've only got 15."
Yeah.
We only, I thought they only ordered 15 of them.
That's all they could get.
Yeah. I didn't realise it was all they could get. I thought they've only ordered 15 because they just didn't think they'd sell.
There were stores in the US that didn't even get a single 5090.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's, as I said, paper launch.
Yeah. Right. It does sound like NVIDIA are doing as we'd accuse Star Citizen of doing if they do that. It was a cash grab because they know the AMD is coming out.
Thank you, Bowler. Battle Mage. That's what the Intel ones are called. And they came out like a month or two ago. I didn't follow it that closely, but I think Bowler would agree with me. They were pretty much a paper launch as well. Right. All right. First question for the day. Yep. We do not have a lot of questions again, so it is that long period, very short stream. But if you guys want to get some questions in, I do want to hear your nuances on the Misfortune versus Vulture, little things that you found that are in the pro or negative column for both. So that'll help me and Algared with our review this weekend that we're going to now struggle with because we don't actually have a Misfortune. Oh, I feel like an idiot.
If you have a Misfortune and you'd like to make it available to us, reach out. And if it matches up with our timetable, we'll take you up on that offer.
Yeah. So it's. I wish I'd held on to it and given it to him later. I just straight after I gifted it, I was like, oh shit, now we don't have one. Anyway, we'll get that sorted.
The nice thing was that people on the stream did see it actually being gifted. So
yeah, it's all good. It's gone. Right. So yeah. So please give me some statements. So like about those, because they're the things that me and Algared will put into our review. And I did send Algared a few that I found. Like those ones I sent to you last night. Where are they? So these are ones that I found on Facebook. You can carry 9 more SCU with the Fortune than the Vulture. It is more precise than the Vulture 2, as you can get way close to the target. So it's little things like that. Could be useful in the future. Keep in mind, salvage will change. It's only V1, etc., etc. Both are equal, in my opinion, as your choice is more based on the aesthetics of the ship. And then someone else replied, I will say I do prefer how it flies and moves the cargo around to achieving the same load as the Vulture is a real pain. It's really best for org play where someone is coming by and plucking the crates off it. So it's little nuances like that that me and Algared are trying to look for. So if you've gone out and used it, just little things that you've found, just put question in front of it and say, this is about the Misfortune Vulture, blah, blah, blah. Because we want to go through those with you now, but also it helps people in their purchasing decisions when we do the review. I hope that all makes sense. But anyway. Right. Question, Algared, if you would do the honour. Benjamin Frick.
Benjamin Frick had a question, which was number 1. It was, we now have 2 small, 1 pilot salvage ships. Who can we expect to be what can we expect the medium ship to be, and from which manufacturer?
I just realised there's no blast charges on the Fortune either. Interesting.
I think again that just lends itself to being what I think it fits best for, just because of the way that the layout of the ship is, which is atmospheric or ground-based, or around a local planet type system rather than deep space, which I think, and I still think the Vulture has that edge just because it's fully enclosed.
I think I talked about this with Starjump, Grim, and Ender on their stream during the week, and we basically kind of cracked it down to 3 possible manufacturers, which was Argo, Consulted Outland, and Greycat. That was the other one. They're the 3 that kind of came out of that discussion. And I think the obvious thing would be, you look at what they've got. You look at what the Reclaimer's got. The Reclaimer was originally going to cut things up with a laser. It wasn't going to kind of bust things apart. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. We've now got munching parts on the claw. So does the claw do the munching now? So there's a lot of questions on how I'm being about to be attacked. On how this V2 of salvage is essentially going to work. So I think there's a little bit up on the air there right now. But I think you would agree with me, the standard difference that I would expect that really can, and Ender pointed this out, so credit to him where credit is due, but I agreed with him, is drones.
Drones will make a difference. In terms of the manufacturer, Greycat is, of those 3, the one I would least expect. Because Greycat are renowned as being mining. I'd expect mining ships from Greycat, left, right, and centre.
I'd be more likely to give them the vehicle, because let's be honest, you're going to get a vehicle at some point.
Oh, look, the infamous golf buggy we've got. The MPV, or not the MPV, the MPUV, not, but the utility vehicle we've got, but just driving around. That was developed for just driving around our hangars way back when. The law for that is that it is basically for moving around and driving around mines. And its roll cage was deliberately a safety feature. It was over-engineered to ensure that people could be safe, because the designer who created it had been in a company and people had died on his watch. They'd used his equipment and died in a cave-in, and he was absolutely shattered, the PTV. And he was shattered, and so he basically, everything became over-engineered, and that little PTV vehicle was developed so that it could go into the mines and give miners a safe refuge.
Still waiting on that UTV, actually, as well. That's one that I think got put on the back burner with all the new people coming in. So hopefully, maybe we'll see that this year. Hopefully,
Yep.
Yeah. Actually, I did this other thing too. I was using AI, and I said, I said based on the names of like the Nomad, the Pioneer, and the Mustang. What would you assume this ship could be called? And the image I sent the AI was the one from the Blue Silhouette.
Yep.
And the names they came back with were pretty cool. The two good ones that I really liked was the Vagrant and the Trailblazer. I think it was pretty cool. Like, I think that's pretty cool. Because I thought they were pretty clever. It came back with like 10 names. They weren't all good, but those two were good.
And of those two, Trailblazer would be one I would think Consolidated Outlands would choose because...
Well, Vagrant's a much better name for the mining vehicle when Drake turned the Vulture into a mining vehicle.
That's right. That's a Drake-ish name.
Yeah.
But, you know, Mr. Musk of Consolidated Outlands, Silas Kroner, he would never choose something like a Vagrant because that's dirty and, you know, unhomed. And he'd want something, yes, we're blazing ahead, you know. Yeah. His designs of the Mustang at times, you know, he tried doing dual hulls because he was trying to be a trailblazer.
Yeah. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens there. I don't know. Maybe that's how CIG do their names. They just do AI, but we'll have to find out. I don't know. I was just curious one day. I was testing out what was Gemini that I was using on my phone. And there's that new one that dropped as well. That's another thing we should talk about. So NVIDIA's been running around telling everyone, oh, you need our hardware to make AI, right? And then these Chinese guys, or this Chinese company, or whatever you want to call it, I'm just going to call them Chinese, right? They went out and for, I think it was like 26 million in 6 months, they made their own AI algorithm, essentially, and they called it DeepSeek, and they've released it for free. It's already more powerful than ChatGPT and all the others. And it doesn't use, it doesn't use any NVIDIA shit at all. You can also run it offline. So you can just run it on your phone, but you don't need to go to the internet or anything like that. And it's stronger and doesn't need all this powerful hardware. So it's essentially just shattered this whole thing. And NVIDIA's stock value in one day, I don't think it was one day, but however it was, it dropped by 20% after this news, which turned out to be worth equivalent to 600 billion, I think it was. Some ridiculous 20%. That's a fifth of what they were worth. Gone. That's bananas. So hopefully that paired with the way these GPUs are going to be taken, they might take GPUs a little bit more seriously. And that's stupid cat.
Oh, your cat has
yes
with you. Yeah. I was going, what's Execute sending?
No, sorry.
That was a question that popped up in our chat.
Yeah. All cat ass. That was not me.
And I went, what the? No, the cat.
Yes.
So, so in terms of manufacturer, I could see Consolidated Outlands going into that field because they've already got the Pioneer.
Yeah.
I could see Argo, but they're more stevedores, and that's I don't. To me, they just don't fit. I could see RSI industry, MISC, you know, a heavy industry company. That's so
when they've already got one in the lineup, and there's only essentially looks like they're only going to be kind of 3 in the lineup, so to speak.
Then you kind of cut that manufacturer out.
Yeah.
But looking at the ones that just make sense in my mind, RSI have always been a bit of everything.
If it was going to be a redouble up, I think it would have to be Drake. To be honest with you. But yeah, again, look, that is kind of superfluous because again, you could sit here and they can make any ship for any man. They can make an Origin ship if they really wanted to.
And that's one of the things I think we learned.
It comes down to the fact that the functionality is more important.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things we learned when we're talking to John and Ben. They'll say, "Oh, we want this ship looks cool. This manufacturer style looks cool. That's the ship we'll do." That seemed to be the and then they kind of shoehorn the law, or get the law team to create law for the ship or why they're doing it, and that tends to fit. Like, even though, as you know, I despise the change they've made to Crusader in terms of what they've done, and yet even when you read the original law, it was vague enough or broad enough that those changes do fit. It just, for me, feels too big a shift from where they were. But yeah. Next question is from...
Hang on, we've got 5 questions left, so please get some questions in, or this is going to be real early. We've stretched for an hour, but we're going to run out. We're going to run out now because I don't think we have anything else left to talk about. But yeah, next question.
Yeah, we've done what we can to stretch things out, and Chris said someone bought a Vulture War Bond at $120 when it first released. He doesn't want to put a lot more money into the game, into Star Citizen, but he cannot CCU to a fortune. What advice would you give him?
I think the only one thing I could say is sell it to someone else if it's giftable, and then buy the fortune.
Yeah.
You know, and then usually what most people do is give 50-50. So of the savings, they get it 50% cheaper, and you make 50% money. So would you say 120?
Yep.
175. So you get like $25-$30, and they get a $25 discount. That's generally how it kind of works. So, but yeah, I tend to think at the moment my initial thought is the Vulture is still better than the Fortune. But again, not everyone likes straight ships, so you got to take that into account. And that was one of the big things we learned at CitizenCon 2, is that most people buy ships on how they look, which I think is ridiculous, but it explains every Origin ship that exists, because there's just not enough gameplay there for me. But obviously, I look at it a lot more logically than most people, and that's fine. Like, everyone's going to look at things differently. And I think a part of this, when you do this stuff, Algared, is we really do need to put ourselves in other people's shoes a lot.
Yeah. We do. I think we do try to do that. It's one of the reasons we always ask, what professions are you into? What are you wanting to do? And then try to build their fleet, especially when they come to us with a whole pile of ships. Try to help them rework their fleet to fit what they want.
That's not a bad idea either. What Socially Confused said: enjoy the Vulture, buy the Fortune in game, and have both.
Yeah. Why not both?
Yeah. I kind of I don't see a problem with that at all, to be honest with you. I don't look at manufacturers like other people do. Like I said, like based on looks and stuff. I always look at the function of a ship, and that's why I don't have a problem with Drake ships or Origin ships. My only problem with Origin is they just don't do enough. But as you and I have talked about, more than likely they're coming down the line. The really functional Origin ships, and I'm sure at some point I'll end up buying an Origin ship. It'll probably be a shop ship or a science.
Just because of its gameplay, you'll end up buying them because it's the type of gameplay you want. I'm not a fan of Crusader ships. I used to love the idea of Crusader ships. I used to think they'd be the classic utility ships, the ones that served everyone. I don't like the way they've gone.
Like that whole thing with the Hercules, yeah?
But
that's just become more and more true over time. Oh, look at the Ironclad. Holy shit, could you imagine the Ironclad even existing back when that dropped?
Oh, I still look at the Hercules bomber and the
A2,
the A2 and the A1. To me, they are so divergent from Crusader's brand that for me it's anathema.
That was another thing when we learnt to Ben and John as well, that John just wanted a ship with a really big gun and he wanted it to be Crusader, so they rewrote the entire law.
That was the Ares.
So now you and Paul know who to blame.
And it's certainly not Benoit. Benoit is our hero because Benoit fights for Kruger Intergalactic.
I do think eventually, whether it's post-launch or whatever, we will get more Kruger stuff.
I could see a vehicle being Kruger. Kruger have gone into they've done their hand. Yeah, we can make it. We make all the parts. We can make a weapon. We make all the parts. We can build a ship. We make all the parts. We can build a vehicle. I could see that logic.
Yeah. I still think they need to go into more collaborative stuff like they did with the Gemini. I remember when you, Paul, and I were talking about the Nurser before it. This is like 2 years before it came out, and we're saying, wouldn't it be cool if there was a ground vehicle that was collaborated with Cure Life, which is the guys. I think they make the med pens, don't they?
Yeah.
And that would have been sick. Take manufacturers you got and do collabs. That just sounds amazing, because that happens in real life as well, and they're usually really successful. You end up with, I'm trying to think of a really weird combination, like a Coca-Cola T-shirt or a Coca-Cola esky, or that's not even a good example. You get really, really a Gucci Coca-Cola bag. Really weird things like that. But
yeah, indeed.
All right, next one.
So. Yeah, I mean, nice to see those things. I'd like to see more Kruger. I do get frustrated with consolidated outlands, but I do have the areas. I do have the C1s and the A1s and that, because I still like to get more ships if I can.
You meant to say Crusader, not Consolidated Outland, though, didn't you?
I did mean to say Crusader, not Consolidated Outlands. That's right.
Just checking.
Yeah. I'm old. I'll put it down.
That's fine. It's not me having to go on you. It's just
no. Because if you don't, our communities.
Sorry, I did the same thing.
Badgered by members of the community for getting it wrong.
I was talking to my mum about that the other day, and she was like, "How do you remember all the ships anyway?" I go, "Haven't you heard? We don't."
No, we never remember. We get the names wrong all the time because there's so many of them the same. It's really frustrating that we know the ships we're talking about. And sometimes we both know the ship we're talking about, and we both stuff up the names.
Yep.
And so, yeah.
It would be kind of funny, actually. I was just reading what Bowler was saying was a large Argo for salvage, because, like, ironically, if they wanted to be kind of annoying, they could just take the mole and turn that into a salvage one. It really could. Yeah. It would, like, it's already got the sorting on it. The only thing it wouldn't have is drones, obviously, but
and given.
That's what I was going to say.
Given the junk that we find around stations and
we need it.
outposts, Argo going to salvage to clear that rubbish away does make sense.
So what I was going to say before that I forgot and then I remembered now was you got 4 drones on the Reclaimer. I reckon if you got 2 and only so you have 2 operators but 4 drones on the Reclaimer. I reckon if you get 1 operator and 2 drones, that would kind of balance it out, and then probably also add the lasers or some way of breaking the ships apart that's not like putting blast charges on it. So it's a step up, puts it right in the middle. And again, you've got essentially 5 people on the Reclaimer. You've got 1 person on the Vulture, sometimes 2. So I think if you made it like 3 people would be the sweet spot. What's your thoughts on that? So 1 on the drone,
that seems...
1 driving. And 1 scraping, clawing, whatever.
No, that seems fair. And if you look at the drones, there's precedence for that, in terms of what we see or what had been revealed about the Crucible and the Vulcan. Crucible has 4 drones, 2 controllers. Vulcan has 4 drones. They both had 4 drones and 2 controllers. And so that's two drones per controller. So reducing the number of drones in the ship to 2 and giving it 1 controller does fit with that math. So
the aeroplane in the background, Algared, makes it sound like you're jumping from 40,000 feet. Just
nothing I can do about that aeroplane in the background. It's
I don't know, maybe we'll have to think about some names for this salvage ship, but I'm thinking like Hyena or something like the Vulture picking carcasses. So what are some other things that pick at carcasses? I don't know.
If it was Drake, Hyena,
something like that. I don't know. We'll have to see, because I do think we're probably going to get some more ships down the line based on utility this year, not just all fighters anymore. Especially we've now got, well, again, you've only got to look at the Blue Silhouette video. Yeah, there's some really cool ships on there. Just looks wise, like what I'll call the not Drake. I can't like, we talked to developers, right? And I had 2 developers tell me that it's not Drake, and yet the blowback I get for that is absolutely insane. Yet then I go into comments of other videos and I hear things like, someone found out X at CitizenCon, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, that's what me and Algared found out. So there's things that you and I talk about that other people hear, and it's like they hear and remember what they want to remember, as in what's positive. But as soon as I say anything that's against the narrative, so to speak, or what they want it to be, blowback. And it's like, well, I'm only telling you what I heard, man. I'm not in this for what do I get out of fighting the current? Isn't it just easier to go with the flow?
Oh yeah. Look, it's like when we were having dinner, you know, and we're talking the curtain. We say, "Oh, the Drake ship," and the next line was, "Is it?
Is it Drake though? Is it Drake?" That was that. Is it?
Now, you know, so when you get those types of things, you go.
And then when I asked someone like directly, and they just said, "Yeah, it's not Drake," I was like, "Well, okay, then it's not Drake." So
I'll just leave it there.
And the other thing I found out, you can't directly go based on lore anymore. Like, so when I was initially saying it was Mirai, I don't think it is Mirai anymore. I think it's either Mirai or Misk. And my reasoning for that, I've got multiple reasonings that we've probably been over before, but logistically, if it's a combat ship based on the people in the photo, the people that stand there, it would be Mirai, because Mirai is the combat of Misk. But we've also got the TAC now. The TAC's a combat vehicle, so technically it should be Mirai, but it's actually Misk. So they're breaking their own law. But again,
they use it.
You know that ship's got to fly symmetrical. So as soon as it goes symmetrical and one wing is really long and the other is shorter, it can't just fly sideways, because the ships don't fly like that in this game. They've got to be symmetrical. So therefore, the only way it can fly is vertical. So therefore, you fly it vertically, it becomes like the Reliant. And we know as a Reliant, the combat is terrible. So I'm going back to, well, this is just a bigger Reliant. So it's like a cargo ship or something by Misk. Now, I don't know if that's what it's going to end up being. All me and Algared have ever got to go on, other than people telling us that it's not Drake, is what we already have in the game. So, you know, I know a lot of people are hoping it's a Drake heavy fighter, and I would love that it's a Drake heavy fighter, because we need that. But we've got words to the contrary, so I can't just say, awesome.
And the second you look at it and go, okay, it's got rotating parts. You go, it's not Drake. Like when you've got the whole hull shifting or rotating, but that doesn't fit into the design aesthetic that CIG have developed for Drake. And they do try to keep that design aesthetic for each manufacturer. So the second you diverge from it too much, you go, well, it's not that manufacturer.
I just have to add, Bowler's correct in YouTube chat. Also, the Xi'an are vertical, so it could technically be a Xi'an ship as well. Sorry, I did bring that up. Thank you for reminding me, Bowler. I appreciate it.
Yep, and the reason the Reliant is vertical in line with the Xi'an ships is because Misk are leveraging the Xi'an tech. They've got a trade deal going. I am going to suggest you restart the bot, because I have seen a question
dead.
or two
it is dead. It is dead. It is dead. Good spot.
I had noticed a question or two in Twitch that was not showing.
Yeah, there we go. So
we're going to now have a page of
no, it won't
more.
Be
instead of the 3 or 4 questions we thought we had left.
Look, those two ships, what I'm now going to call the Trailblazer and the Not Drake, they are the two most interesting ships on that entire thing. And I think you would agree with me, no matter what that Trailblazer is, as in manufacturer, what it does, being a medium ship, and the 2 previous years we got the Zeus and the Spirit, I would argue to the death, based on the repetition of patterns that we now see, like starter ships always coming out at IAE. I would bet money that that's coming at CitizenCon. Would you? Like if you had to bet on black type of thing?
If I had to bet and make a claim, I'd probably say yeah. Doesn't mean it is, no, but it seems to fit. We get the starter ships at IAE, and we get the big stuff in the rest of the year. So yeah.
That's my bet. I'm not going to sit here and guess on what its role is. I think it's pretty obvious them working on the Pioneer, it allows them to work out some of the stuff for the Pioneer because it's in that step. And I also would bet a fair bit of money, not this year, but maybe next year, there's probably a large Sinu ship in there as well. Because if you look at the gap, it allows you to go from Nomad to medium, from medium to large, from large to Pioneer. Allows you to do all of it. So it just makes a lot of sense. I would not be surprised. And they also did state in the video it's not all the ships they're working on. So
yeah. And the other thing is, I think the fact that they're working on the Pioneer and they're going to have, you know, automated drones on the Pioneer.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised to see other ships that use drones, even if they're just automated, coming.
Yep.
And then that, I think, down the line means the next step after that would be remote drones.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
I agree.
And
it's a stepping
I'm looking
stone.
forward to remote drones.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I look forward to. So
allows them to go back on ships like the Reclaimer too that are already in the game and add that functionality. The Apollo's coming as well. So there are not just base building.
Carrick.
Yeah. But again, like other new ships. So you mentioned the Build and the Pioneer, but there are other ships as well that use drones like the Apollo.
Yeah. The Crucible, the Vulture, Vulcan. They've both got drones that we haven't got. We've got ships in game. Flamer, Carrick.
All it
have drones as well. And
thank you for the $2 super chat. Appreciate it, mate. Appreciate it.
Yeah, always appreciated, never expected, but always accepted humbly and with thanks. So, and yes, hi Grim. I know you said it before, but I also just saw his chat, so
it's all good. Monster Avery says, question, seemingly they decided to start overlapping, expanded the manufacturing lineup. Do you think we will start to see more low-level weapons, i.e. like they do with fighters, or just this one? I would argue, and I think Grim, when I was on Grim's stream with him, would have kind of said words to this effect. We already do see a lot of... Was it Piggles that said this? God, man, I've had so many discussions this week. We already do have a lot of fighters that kind of tread on each other. We're only starting to see that now with the Fortune and the Vulture. And they did say that they wanted to do those down the line. I think it just became they needed a ship to onboard someone. I think that's kind of my whole takeaway with this whole thing. Would you kind of...
No, 100%. Like they've always said, they want that player choice and they want that variety. They don't want every player to be flying out there in a constellation.
Yeah.
They want people to be flying out there in constellations, in caterpillars and other things. And so if you make them similar or very close, then you do get that variation. But if you've got this one ship that is the bee's knees best at X, when people are doing it, that's the only ship you'll see. And so they don't want that. So I fully expect.
I think that's the argument right now, that every fighter out there has to have its niche. And I think once the armor's in and flight mechanics come in, I think that'll split up the fighters a lot more than they are now. And I think they will be, yes, they'll still be very close, but they'll all have what they are best at. This fighter is best in atmosphere, and it's got armor. This fighter is best in atmosphere, but it's got shields. This fighter is really good at that, but it's also really long distance, not short distance, but then it makes some other... You know what I mean? Like, again, we're seeing that it looks like energy weapons are going to be a lot better for long range because you can't go back to get ammo, but ballistic's going to be stronger, but you have to go home to reload. But if you're already at home, what an advantage that is. So, like, just little things like that.
Or you'd need a ship with you that was a resupply vessel. So,
yes. Yeah.
And they're going to be pluses and minuses with every ship. And so, having the variety, we can see that variety of fighters where they're overlapping in purpose and role.
Yeah.
That will spread out, I think. But I think we'll also see, we'll see the professions, the mining, salvage, medical.
It's definitely something that a lot of people don't factor into their math, so to speak, is just how much important teamwork is going to be in this game. Yes, NPCs can come in and fill some voids, but like resupply and logistics, any of the people that you talk to that are based in the military, they live and die on logistics. What was it? Armies live and die on their stomach or something like that. There's a line.
Yep.
And that is all around logistics, right? If you cannot have those supply lines, if you cannot get the fuel, the ammo, and all that to where it needs to go, well, again, look at Ukraine. Russia's having those problems. or have had problems like that all the way along. So yeah.
And you look at any war, you look at the Napoleonic Wars, and Napoleon was a master at setting up his supply chains, and when they'd get threatened, you just saw things fall apart, or when they extended your supply chain, you were absolutely up a creek. It's going to be exactly the same in this.
Grim, if you want to jump in and join me and Algared, let me know. You're more than welcome to jump in and have a chat if you want, mate.
Yeah, we don't mind, because it'll pad out our session and help us reach our 3 hours. Citizen Ninja has a question. Thoughts on the Red Fest Cutty paint and the Cutty Blue? LUL. I'm going to say, well, because it's red, you're going to say fine, and I haven't looked. I don't really care about skins. So,
what was the question? Sorry, I was replying to a chat that someone DM'd me.
The Cutty Red Festival skin on a Cutty Blue. What are your thoughts?
Just a red skin on a different ship. Yeah, I got no problem with that. I already seen people try to hide what their ships are. So the Cutty red looks kind of red. If you put a red on it, you can make a bounty hunting ship look an ambulance, and so people, things like that. So it's going to be a thing in the game. I think it's a part of the deception tactics. I think we'll see it more and more. So I wouldn't be too worried.
The electro skin's going to make a.
Go ahead, Algared. I'm just dragging Grim in.
I just dragged Grim in.
Yeah, I was setting his role.
Appreciate it.
Hey, how you doing, Grim?
Good. How's it going?
Fairly well.
Very hot here today. I'm very hot.
Yeah. Thanks for the invite.
It's right.
Have you down a bit so you don't blast my ears?
Oh, you're fine. You're fine for me though. Leave it where we are, Grim. Have you had a chance to check out the Fortune? What's your thoughts on it now? You've had a time to get in game and perusal.
I did. Yeah. It's another kind of incredible example of how ship design has evolved, even in a variant. It's such an crazy use of space. I still kind of can't believe how big the ship is on the interior. I think it's got enough differences from the Vulture to make it interesting. I do think the Vulture is still a side upgrade from the Fortune. I think the Vulture's probably still has a bit more throughput on what it will earn, but I think other people will test that a little better. But yeah, like you said, I mean, we had this conversation earlier this week. I think there's a lot of fighter overlap, which is good. I think there should be ship overlap, but there's a lot of combat overlap, and I think this is probably the first we're seeing of industrial overlap. I guess we do have a little bit of overlap on cargo transport, but pure industrial gameplay. Yeah.
So I was saying just before, basically with when me and Aggregate doing a review it this weekend, it looks very obvious that it's going to be lots of small little different nuances. So some of those won't be seen for a really long time. So I'm trying to crowdsource this, because I found some examples where there's just things I wouldn't have thought of initially, real simple example I gave earlier was the cargo being on the outside. It's probably going to work a lot better with things like the Expanse and the Prospector. Ships coming to pick up their external cargo, but then also you get the advantage of the security of internal cargo on the Vulture. It's different ships for different roles, but I just keep hearing examples of that again and again, and it's 1% in the favor of this ship and 1% in the favor. I don't think they are going to be completely different. I think they are very similar. But there is going to be the best for the best task, which is what we've kind of been talking about here. So, yeah. Algared, sorry.
I will quickly jump in and say, yes, JFam, thanks for that. JFam gave us a $10 super chat, and he said, thanks again. Guys, this community is what makes the game. And, and I think he's right.
Yep.
What I was going to say in terms of the overlap is it ties in with what Ben and John said as well, but we're not talking the Polaris and the Perseus, and I said, well, why choice? And I said, well, they're both combat ships. We've got lots of combat works, and so that I think generally ties in with why we've got so many fighters, and the overlap is because that's a gameplay loop that is in and it works, and it's the easiest one to do in terms of you want gameplay.
Yeah. Same with the racing as well, because it was something that they only want to put ships in that they have functions for. So yeah.
So I think cargo,
Yeah,
Sure.
I think too, especially on the entry level ships, we'll see more overlap than probably will on like the large to capital size
Yeah.
ships. Or at least
Yeah.
my opinion would be that, because
Just
when you're
like real
trying to get
life.
people,
Real life's
yeah,
the
exactly.
same.
When
Yeah.
you're trying to get people in the game, sometimes those initial people coming into the game, they don't know anything about manufacturers or the lore behind it, or know enough about the aesthetics of each different ship manufacturer and stuff. They may just initially go, I don't like the look of this ship, or I like the look
Yep.
of this ship. They don't know all the components and everything. So
Mm.
having overlapping ships in the same role, so take salvage with the Fortune and Vulture, having them from different manufacturers, different stylings, slightly different approach to the same task, I think can sometimes serve literally just aesthetic values for people.
Yeah.
People that just go, I like the Fortune because I like Misk, or I like the look of it. I like it to be silver. I mean, there's a lot of silly reasons people like certain things. And, and I say that as someone who's a Drake fan, and as much as I like Drake, there's definitely people that just don't like Drake, and that's fine
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just purely an aesthetic styling
Player
vibe.
choice and player personal preferences is going to be a
Yeah.
big part of this game.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And certainly for starter ships, when you've got ships that do the same job, as you're saying, people pick the ship based on what they like and look of, and then as they use that ship to do the different job, they go, oh, I actually really like this one, or I really like this,
Right.
and so they then diverge off into the
You've
the
also
branch
got
that
to
they desire.
you got to pick one initially, don't you, as
Mhm.
well? So I think I think everyone's first ship. Let's be honest. I'd really have to break this down, right? Be interesting to do a survey, but I think you'd find most people just buy their first ship on the way it looks, and then after
Yeah.
that they get in and
Yeah.
play with them, and then they go, oh shit, it's this, it's that, blah blah blah. I think that it takes time to learn that shit.
That's exactly what
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly what I did.
Yeah.
And I think too that like, these ships, as you get up to something like a reclaimer, for example, by that time, hopefully, you have enough knowledge about salvaging and the gameplay loop and the expense and the advantages and disadvantages of such a ship that the fact that it's an Aegis probably doesn't matter to you as much. It may still matter to you, but probably doesn't matter to you as much as the new player coming in, where it's all those superficial things. By the time you reach that medium, large, capital type ship size, you're now starting to think about components, features of the ship, things it can offer you. You're starting to get a little bit more granular with your ship choice, I think.
Yeah.
And there's money involved, or a lot of AUEC or UEC or whatever.
It's becoming more and more nuanced too. Like now things like size 3 components can't be taken out of ships, but size 1s and 2s cans. You get where I'm going with this, right? Like it's
Right.
there's going to be advantages and disadvantages to both.
Yeah.
And I think that's the really cool sign of a game. I don't want to say it's simple, because there are simple parts to this game, but I think when you've got 20 things that are simple, it starts to become complicated. And I think that's where we're at, right? Everything's kind of, you can have this kind of vague overview to everything, and these different size classes and stuff. But then when you start to deep dive, it becomes a little bit like chess, the easy to learn, hard to master type of approach. And I think that's a good thing about the game in hindsight.
Yep.
And it's going to make every little area of the game hard to master. And I think that's a good thing.
Well, even when you look at the soft dev ships at the moment, like we've been told that you will be able to bring ships back from soft dev by doing repairs or changing components and stuff. They may not be very good until you get back to a shipyard, but you'll be able to bring them back from soft dev, and that's pretty huge. That's a big change.
I think that's an important thing too to talk about with engineering, because it is technically a part of repair. I think it is the kind of start of that kind of window. I do want to ask Grim really quickly. We were talking about the Pioneer before. I don't know if you heard us talking about that, Grim, but basically, with that, the ship from the Blue Silhouette that you and I think is Consolidated Outland, would you also expect there probably is a large ship in there as well, because it gives you that kind of jump from the Mustang, Nomad, medium, large Pioneer? Would you expect possibly we'd be seeing that as well in the next 18 months type of thing, as well as the Pioneer?
If not flyable, I could definitely see a new concept reveal from Consolidated Outland while they've got designers on that manufacturer. If they wanted to swing low and just kind of get something across the line, across the finish line pretty quickly, I could see some sort of Consolidated Outland cargo, like big cargo barge or something.
Yep.
If they just wanted to go simple with it, obviously, I think they could be a little bit more interesting, and maybe that, for example, is the large refinery ship, or ultimately becomes the large salvage ship, whatever
Kind of
that
like
is. But
the Starlancer build, something akin to
yeah,
that. Yeah, no, I 100%
yeah,
agree.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I always,
Um,
I was just thinking what you were saying there, Grim, and I just thought back to not the last CitizenCon, but the previous one, where we saw the, it was in Olisar, not Olisar, in Crusaders Planet.
the
Land
Sky City.
Land the plane, Orizon. But what's
Orizon,
happening in
thank you.
Orizon?
Yes.
What's happening in
But
Orizon?
in Orizon, they had the fly from. We saw that great big barge that looked very much like a consolidated ship.
Yeah.
Oh
100%.
yes. Grim's brought that up several times, and I agree with him on that one. And
so I could clearly see that being something that comes down the line.
Actually, that's a really good point. If they took that out and flushed that out, that would literally be like a Corvette sized. And
it's huge. Yeah.
I would argue that is a refinery ship. Is the most refinery looking ship that I've seen in the entire game. Because you look at it from when you kind of fly across the top, it's got all those pipes and stuff like you see on a traditional fuel tanker type thing in modern day today.
It looked very much like a refinery ship. Yep.
And I know people thought, that is the Pioneer, like the old Pioneer. And there are elements you could say, there's bits, but it was too different to be that.
Yeah.
Now the question would be whether that was a large Corvette-sized ship they were looking at doing for that, and then with the change to the Pioneer, that's also changed the design aesthetic.
Yeah. And does it have any internals at all, or was it all just external for Squadron 42? But then taking that externals and building the internals while you're building the Pioneer internals, you see where I'm going with this pretty quickly.
Yeah.
That adds a lot of that would be the way to go, wouldn't it? And then saying, okay, we've done it, but we're not going to release this until Squadron's out the door, because that would make it like the Idris and stuff like that. I can see that if you guys are on the same page, but
yeah. I mean, they've got they got a bunch of real estate within the Consolidated Outland Pioneer ship line of ships. I mean, we go from what is the Nomad all the way up to the Pioneer, one of the largest ships that players are going to be able to own. There's a lot of ground to cover there, and I'm actually a little surprised they didn't talk about designing some other Consolidated Island ships to build out that library. They kind of didn't say anything about that, which was a little surprising, because that's quite a leap going from the Nomad all the way up to the Pioneer. I mean, again, I tell everyone the biggest shock news to me from CitizenCon was the fact that the Pioneer was in production. I would have, if you would asked me a month before, did I think that was anywhere near going to happen, I would have said no, it's 7 years away. So. Again, if there's not flight ready ships in active production, I 100% think we're going to get a new concept or something.
Yeah, definitely plan
based on what we were told by Ben and John, that they have an 18-month window, and the ships that were on the curtain are basically ships they've already talked about, and they're in that kind of gives you, within the next 18 or 12 months or so, those ships will be out. And I think that's why when they did the Yellow Curtain the previous year, they said these ships will be out within the next year, because they were already ships they were working on. So that kind of the fact that the Pioneer was on that list, that was a pretty big thing, because it was something just never thought of.
Just real quick, Gearhand, thank you for the 100 bits that I missed on Twitch. Sorry, I'm not used to the stuff on Twitch because we're so more YouTube focused. And I got a cat attacking me again.
Yeah, but it keeps attacking you.
The other thing I want to bring up, and I thought this might actually be an interesting idea for an episode, actually, is we have all these different manufacturers for ships. Now, we're about to get base building. What is an Origin building? What is a Drake building? You see where I'm going with this? So this is a whole untapped thing that we haven't even started to get into.
Will it be, rather than Origin and Drake buildings, that go back to Southland?
Yeah.
Can
you imagine
Revel and York and?
Can you imagine the rep grind? oh, I want to go out and earn a refinery, so I've got to grind down this tree to be able to build this. I want to be able to, but I need the small one, the medium, the large one. I need military ones. See what I mean? Like it ties into everything. So, so you're not just going to be able to go, I am a base builder and I build everything. I've only got the plans for military, so I can only build your military building. Sorry, bro. You can see this, like the game creates itself. Like base building is a really big part of this game, and you might have the pioneer, but you're going to need the other people in your orgs to have the patterns. It's just that simple. So
I mean, I look at buildings now. The more we've heard about them, I look at buildings or any sort of fabricated structure like that is literally being ships that are permanently on the ground. They're going to have all the same resource management stuff, the same materials, components, and all that kind of stuff goes into them. They're going to be able to be salvaged. They're going to be able to be manufactured. There's going to be tiers to them, all that stuff. So really, they're technically no different than a ship asset at this point.
It's like another category, like vehicles or ships or suits or whatever. Gihan, thank you for the gifted sub on Twitch. Appreciate it, mate. That went to I know you were Agent FBA. Thank you. Make sure you thank you, Gear Hand for their sub.
But what they do say is they say at Starjump, Grim. Hi, Grim. Nice to hear you here as well. So
yeah, just
I
sent
think
Gear
that's kind of like
the swag.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the comment that kind of goes with his bit like the super chat comment. So I'll drop that in since I saw it.
Thank you, Gear. I will say too, I did some further inspecting of that Squadron 42 video, the Hold the Line video where they fly past that big consolidated ship, and there's actually a second consolidated ship in there as well that it flies by first. Also a large barge, but a different ship. And again, it looks.
You'll have to show me.
Yeah, well, and. Looking at the large barge, I did some like very back of the napkin math. That ship is big. It is somewhere in the neighborhood, and again, it's pretty wide range because I'm back of the napkin math, but it's somewhere in the range of like 200 to 270 meters, based off like some rough measurements. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm speculating here, obviously, but just doing some measurements based off shadows and stuff. It looks very, very large.
So we're talking S5 or Corvette sized,
Yeah, I'm going to cut in with a question here because it actually is vaguely related to exactly what we're talking about, and it's from Lazarus. And Lazarus said, "Question theories on upcoming variants this year," which is literally what we're talking about.
Do you want to go first, Grim, or do you want to? I think the obvious one is the ones we talked about before is Intrepid variants. I think that's really obvious. I'll just knock that one out.
Yeah, Intrepid variants, I could see that. I could definitely see that. I think that's the most likely scenario. I think we will probably. I'm honestly thinking we could get like some Super Hornet variants, maybe possibly. We'll have to see about that. And then what's the other one? I would personally love for a surprise variant to an existing ship. For example, I can see some other variants for the Ironclad, and I would love for them to surprise us with something like that. They don't generally do that. Once they announce a couple variants, they stays like that until I think after they're out. But we'll see.
Here's a thought.
Hang on. I'd also expand it beyond variants. Just is there any ship there that you would like to add that you would just like to see? Like, say, for example, I'm almost half expecting to see the Raelian, based on it being roughly 18 months since that was done at Invictus or Alien Week. So, is there any others that you are hopeful based on thing like? Oh, I guess you'd say the Apollo, knowing you, but.
I don't know, but I would say this about the Raelin. I'm a big fan of that ship. I want it to come out. I will own it. I have to wonder if CIG looks at things like how well did the Sulin sell and base some decisions off that. I don't know how well the Sulian sold or not sold, but I kind of wonder because it is such a distinct look to that series of ships that I feel like a lot of people like them, but then once that ship came out, it had a lot of like kind of. I saw a lot of negative stuff surrounding it. Now the Raelin is much different, flies much different. It's a completely different beast, but it's still sort of in that world. So I don't know. I would love to see that ship. That's
Yep.
that's
So
that's a hard one.
the only thing you've really got to go on is if you go back to one of these, like these trackers, right, is you can actually go along and see where each ship came out and stuff.
And it gives you a rough idea of...
Yeah.
Now, I did see that John Crew posed that question on X the other day about what ship do you want to see, what ship would you delete, and what ship would you change? Did you guys happen to answer that?
Nope. Let's go look at that right now.
I put... Go ahead, Algared.
I was going to say, I tend to avoid X, so, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think I put that I would like to see a capital mine layer. The ship I would delete would be the Rock DS vehicle, but I would delete it because he asked which one would you totally delete, and then I think the one,
the steel,
yeah,
Now,
and then
yeah.
the steel, yeah.
But still,
And I
would be
think
the
the one to change. I think I said that I would love to see 2 internal extra small hangars put on the starboard side of the Kraken as my change. But yeah, he posed that question, which I thought was an interesting question for John to pose to the community, because it's going to get a ton of replies and feedback.
Oh, so this one.
The other thing with the DS...
Jalopy is banned. Yes. Jalopy is banned.
The other thing with the DS is CRG have said that they are going to make that enclosed for both operators.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yep.
So that is a change they are looking at doing. So that changes that DS from possibly being an absolutely horrid ship or vehicle to being one that's quite usable. But I reserve my judgment on that. But the other things is the Apollo. I could see variants of that being the modules being different.
You saw that too, didn't you, Grim? Because you replied to that one, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
He finally got around to wearing the shirt we got him. But,
I did. So that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
But cool. I could see an Apollo when the Apollo first came out and they had the rooms. I could see a streamer's, a studio. One side being the production studio, one place being the actual stage set. So I could see that variant. I don't know who would really use it. It'd be basically role players and streamers doing that type of stuff. But I could see that.
Yeah.
But the one in terms of variants I thought of was when I look at Consolidated, the only ship that they've got, I think, with variants is the Mustang. Their others don't have variants, and so a very easy way to build out their library would do variants of the ships they've already got. And so I could see variants of Consolidated.
You reckon with the medium ship coming, though, like knowing that the Spirit and the Zeus and all that got variants and almost all the medium ships have variants, I think whatever that is, I've been calling it the Trailer Blazer since today. I was telling Algared earlier, I went on one of the, I think it was Gemini, and I put in, based on the names Mustang, Nomad, and Pioneer, what would you name this ship? And I gave it the image, and it basically came back with about 10 different names, and it came up with the 2 cool ones were Vagrant and Trailblazer. But as Algared said, knowing that
Trailblazer,
Trailblazer,
and Vagrant just doesn't sound like Consolidated, but
no, not at all.
Other than just calling
Trailblazer does.
Other than calling it the flat pancake looking one, I think Trailblazer is just a bit easier. So I'll just call it that.
You had brought up, I brought this up on my stream the other day. You may have been on there, Execute, when I brought it up. But Algared, you talked about a little bit ago about drones, and especially with like the stuff being worked on right now, base building. I still think there is a ton of ground for them to cover with especially industrial ships that use drones as their gameplay action. So, for example, I could see a salvage ship that has salvage drones that go out and salvage instead of salvage beams. I could see a mining ship that sends out mining drones instead of having a laser on it. It'd be a different type of mining gameplay, a different type of salvaging gameplay, but I see a lot of ground they could cover there.
I can think of really simple ones straight off the bat. It allows a much bigger ship to essentially get into a smaller area. It's almost reverse.
Right.
So you could go to a cave and send all the drones in, and then they all come back out.
Yeah, exactly. So I think if if the drone development goes well with base building, we could see a little bit of a renaissance period of drone-related ships.
Well,
You know what I mean?
It all comes down to nav mesh or essentially AI navigation. That'll be one of the big tricky things straight off the bat. When it's initially just going A to B and it's in a line of sight, that's not too difficult. But when you got to go round corners and you got to go over surfaces and stuff like that, that changes a little bit.
And that changes it for the automated stuff. For the automated, the first drones we get are automated. We click a button, fly and forget. They just press the button, they go, they do their job. We don't have to worry about them. It's the remote drones that are going to cause the most grief, and they're basically small little ships that are. So I think the tech's there, but seeing how that works and everything else, that's the key thing.
It's probably one of the besides engineering, like the resource management stuff. Besides that, the second most interesting thing I'm interested in watching over the course of this year to see if there's any progress on it, especially public facing, is drones. I think one of the first ships that's going to come along that we're going to get to see how far along or not far along drone stuff is the Apollo. If I'm not mistaken, doesn't it come with like some sort of medical drone or something?
Yeah, it's got the Shepherd drone, but it's got no drone control station. So to me, that's just an automated drone as well.
It's an automated thing.
I think the automated drone. I could be wrong, right, in terms of whether it's remote or not, but it doesn't seem to have a station from what we've seen in the original stuff. But I think it'd be the second ship that comes out with drones if they're automated, because you've got the build with automated drones, you've got the Apollo with automated drones, and that just expands out medical gameplay as well as the building stuff. But where we don't have that gameplay or the ability for drones at the moment, and they could jury rig the ships with drones that are in game with automated drones, are the Carrack, the Reclaimer, and then ships that aren't out yet that we do know have drones, the Crucible, the Vulcan. They're ships that have had, they have stations for people to control the drones. And that's what those remote drones are, the ones we don't have. And I think that's probably that might be the hard thing for them to do. It might be one of the docking and those same type of problems, and we've just got to wait and see. But I look forward to that type of those types of drones. The automated ones, that's nice, but it's the remote gameplay that's the one that for the drones is the one that appeals to me, and that I could see being in the where you the types of ships you'd like to see, and that makes it go around the corners and solve some of those problems. So yeah, that's my thought anyway. So. Any other variants you guys could think of?
It's just really interesting reading some of these replies, because it just shows you what different shit. Like Ollie's replied here and said, "I want the Liberator, but I want him to delete the Freelancer, but then I want to modify the Prospector." So like they're just not ships I would have picked at all. Like, different strokes for different folks. So
yeah, and people who are into cargo are going to say one thing, and people who are into combat, I imagine, are going to say another thing, and the miners. So it's going to be 5 people and 50 answers. I think it's
and
just like a committee.
It's very possible that this year, assuming I'm making a big assumption here, assuming that Tier 0 base building comes online, one of the things we know that has to probably come along with that, or perhaps even a little bit before, is just manufacturing, right? Like the crafting stations. I definitely think we're going to have a crafting ship that comes along that can do furniture, weapons, parts and pieces like that.
That's what under the Pioneer, because I think that's a part of the Pioneer personally.
Right, underneath the Pioneer, right? The Pioneer can do it. You're correct, but just something that's more entry level, because, like I said about the Argo CSV FM, again, I think they created that vehicle specifically because they did not want medium base building to be locked behind a $500 ground vehicle C2 Hercules combination. Bringing it down to the FM. So I think a lot of these base building things and fabrication things, they're going to have to find entry or like price point tiers that service those particular size construction endeavors, right? So medium sized stuff, you're not going to have a Pioneer to build a chair for your room, right? So there's going to be lots of other ship tiers
they
there.
they have talked about the trolley, the little
True,
trolley the building that surely would be building furniture, and we can.
I would hope so.
Can we buy furniture in game yet, or is it only in the store?
Some places
I can't
sell
remember,
chairs and stuff and couches.
You can. I think Kelto or whatever that convenience store is, they do sell some furniture in game. Yeah.
Actually, I think I did. I think I bought the furniture I've got from the shop on Hurston, because I've got to support Hurston.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you can already see that type of stuff coming. So if that's already in game, and we've got base building, you can see other the door is open for other furniture and other decorative pieces coming. So yeah.
Again, there's still a lot of room for them to explore with some new concepts. You know what I mean? I think that's sometimes why when we see things like the Fortune, we get excited because there's that initial feeling of, oh, maybe this is doing something different. And then when it finally comes out, we go, oh, yeah, it kind of still just salvages. It's got a slightly different RMC storage method. But again, there's still a lot more real estate for them to explore, and hopefully they do.
Algared, I think when we do this, we should play on some things we knew Ben and John said. So we should put when they add a ship, we should put in like a UFO Argo based starter.
Yeah, a gladiator.
Well, they really wanted to build
They did want to build this flying saucer.
Yeah, the flying saucer.
In Argo.
And we said to him, I said, but Algared, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I basically said the only way you get that past Chris is if it was a starter. I said, making it really big, no way. It's just such a departure from the rest of Argo. It's not funny.
The other one would be the change for the Misk Odyssey not the Misk Odyssey, the new ship, the Star Lancer. So that it's got the turrets of so the drones come out the side.
Well, they couldn't do it for the
Fury
size
comes
it
out.
was. Or maybe they build one that can do that.
That's specifically for the Fury to pop out and be the turrets as well, because that was something again they did say that's what.
Well, that can be.
They'd seen that and they wanted to do it.
That can be a modified one. What do we do for the delete? I think it's got to be the steel.
It has to be the steel.
I can live with changes to the Rock DS, but the steel is just one of the biggest mistakes. And let's be honest, it's not the ship itself; it's the price.
No.
It just is insane.
Yeah, I think it's mainly the price. The concept of the ship, I don't mind too much. It's kind of a.
I still find the concept of a ship is woeful. That especially when it came out, it was put the whole server onto this ship.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's it.
Kill the whole server in one easy trip. But
Algared, you can probably answer this better than I can. But how old is Argo compared to some of the others like RSI and?
I'd have to go back and have a look.
Maybe they're not old enough to get. Oh, they are old enough. So maybe they have different styles then. So maybe the UFO could be an older style that they dropped.
Yeah. Well, Argo are the company that built the rail network on Mars. So they started off as a company that was refurbished Sol's Earth's cargo, rail network.
Just that circles are not a very what's the word? And you can talk to this too, because I know you've done a lot of 3D modeling too, Grim. They're not very optimized. You're essentially you've almost got to cut them back to a square to put anything in them anyway. Because
which models?
Circular space pits.
Oh yeah.
They don't work very well from a size to what you're doing. Like that's why we don't have spheres. We have tubes. Those tubes are more functional than spheres. But if you can get away with a square, you will use or a box. You will use a box.
Yeah, I mean, Gavin Rothery's even talked about that a little bit when they were discussing the Polaris interior, where, they talked about the RSI design language having those sort of inverted, angled walls and how that creates a real challenge for them and when filling out the space, because it ends up being a lot of wasted space to account for those angled walls like that. So yeah, I think there's anytime you start to get into anything other than a tube or a rectangle,
I just did a quick search. I just did a quick search in your answer. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, look, that there just so what we need is a Kruger Voltron ship. They all merge together and make a Titan suit. No. Anyway, sorry, Algared, go ahead.
I did do a quick search to answer the question about Argo astronautics or astronautics. They started 712 years ago in 2243.
So that's older than Anvil, and Anvil have multiple styles. So yeah.
Pain. Yeah.
So our stevedores who have very few ships, who basically are known, if you've got a mass transport system on your planet, chances are Argo have built it or done it or maintain it, because that's their jam. That's my understanding of a company. But it'd be good to see, more ships from them. Maybe they built a flying saucer because it was better at
I'm doing a poll, Algared.
Or
and I've just put, would you like to have Argo? Oh wait, would you like Argo to have a UFO style? Right. So real simple. Could be multiple ships, whether it's a new style of Argo, an old style of an Argo, just a style. Just some people will like it, some people won't. But it makes sense. Like I can understand it's a space. UFOs have started the whole space thing, so let's be honest, it'd be kind of a very big tip of the hat to not have it, to be honest.
Little green men. And instead of giving it number 42, you give it number 51.
That said, though, you could have made a style of one of the alien races, and so it's like it's an older Zion style, and they eventually went more and more angular and became triangle. So over the years, can you imagine that, like a smooth sphere or smooth thing, and then they get more and more geometry into it and becomes more and more polygon based, to eventually they cut it right back to a triangle, almost the inverse of what we did with video games.
That'd
be interesting.
Here's a spanner for it. You make it a flying saucer. It's a the Asperia ship. It's made from plans they find on that planet where they destroy themselves. And it's the little green men that we have in Area 51.
I think that's probably and it all came from. I'll have to pull it up again, but we were asking them, like, why Argo, Argo logo, and it was all to do with the older Argo logo. Oh wait, I'm gonna do star system. Shit, is this because it had a circle?
Yeah.
How is that for inspiring ship design? Oh, the logo's circular. Let's make a UFO.
And you went, like, is it? And then
fuck?
they went, and then you went back and had and went, oh yeah, it is.
Because they changed it to an A recently, like apparently. So.
It's been updated.
But I'd argue
and we
that's
heard
a black hole,
we
not a
heard
circle.
that. Yeah, we heard about that on an ISC not too awful long back, where they had the branding person on who was talking about redoing a lot of that branding.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that's why Drake got updated to being the D. They got that big block D now and stuff.
It was too big. Drake in the planetary was like massive.
Yeah,
I had a lot of problem in Photoshop with that compared to other stuff. But it just allows them to have a simple. Like, essentially, you see it a lot with a lot of different companies. They have a real simplified logo and then like a banner head type of thing. So yeah.
All right, to chuck in another question that does ask related to variants and stuff. Socially Confused says, what about the RSI Arrester salvage variant? It has the beams and the automatic external cargo like the Fortune. Thoughts?
It'd be an instant sell. I mean, I've heard of so many people wanting that variant.
What was it? A salvage variant of the Arastra?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anytime I bring up the Arastra to someone says, I wish it was a salvage ship. Literally every time I bring it up.
Of course, we know that they'll say they're bringing out a new variant of a ship that everyone's asking for, and it'll be the Arastra, and it'll be nothing to do with salvage.
Okay, the poll real quick.
Yeah.
56% of people said, I'm trying to end it, but let me end it. 56% of people said no on YouTube, and they only had 6 votes on Twitch. They're obviously listening, not watching. And 6% said yes. So
that 67% said yes on Twitch.
Yeah, so it's
not 6.
There's 6 people that voted, but they said yes. But
67 said.
So roughly, it's very split. To be honest, I roughly say it's roughly about the same. If you kind of take the votes from one and out the other, because that would go from 39 votes to 45 plus percentages. Yeah, it's almost a 50-50 split. So I would put this out, and I'm not going to do another poll, but I think we'd all kind of roughly agree that would be a style that would be divisive, and some people will like it and some people won't. Much like some people like Origin and some people like Drake. It's not a bad one to have.
And therefore, because it's one that people like and hate, as Space Tomato would say, it's one that should be there because there's got to be something that you like and something you hate in a game too.
Yep.
That's my...
You guys may have talked about this earlier, but I just realized that Xylo just announced that they are canceling the Free Fly event for Red Festival.
Ooh.
Because they say they want to acknowledge that Star Citizen has too many issues right now and are foregoing the Red Festival Free Fly. Interesting.
I haven't seen that yet, but that is... I think that... Look, I think it's a good move to do that. I think having...
Keep going. We'll come back to this in a minute.
Having free flies when the game is buggy or broken or giving a bad impression of a game is counterproductive.
I agree. I just posted the link to you execute with them.
Let people bring their friends in and let them fly on their account and show them and say, look, it's only it's still broken, it's still buggy, it's still got problems.
Yeah,
but don't do a free fly that jams the service.
Pissball Preet says it all in exactly one go. Good first impressions are important.
Yeah,
you cannot make a good first impression when it's all lagging to shit. I think I've always thought for a long time, like, I know why they're trying to double down and do sales and free flies at the same time. It's like this hype overload thing, but it doesn't work because it literally overloads the servers. And quite honestly, as someone that is like a veteran to the game, if I'm in a sale, do I have time to show other people how to play the game? No. So I actually think maybe the 2 biggest sales, so like Invictus and IRE, do a free fly then. But the other ones, should be done in quiet times.
Yeah, I kind of agree. It really is that frustration of, you understand why they're doing it because there's people coming in, they buy the ships, but also if people coming in are having a bad time, they go, no, I'm not investing, and they don't want it, they don't come back. And so I'm glad that they're actually stopping the free fly.
I agree. I think that, and I think there's been other little signs too that I've been happy with that show them taking a little bit more of a slower approach. I mean, I've said this many times. I think it's a good thing, for example, that they didn't pre-sale the build in the CSV FM because I don't think they fully concepted how that's going to work yet, and they held off. And they easily could have. They could have made a ton of money off selling those 2 concept ships, but they held off. And I think possibly maybe we're seeing a little bit more of a chill approach to how they do this moving forward. So.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the list of stuff. Is there anything else that you think is important to pull out of this post from Xylo, or just
that was just all I saw? Yeah.
It sounds like they're taking the stability and playability seriously.
Yeah, they mentioned at the end that next Thursday on February 6th, we're going to get a 2-hour Star Citizen live with Benoit. Going into all the issues and how they plan to fix them. So that'll be cool to see, a 2-hour SEL.
Algared will be there with his Kruger bib on, waiting.
Yep.
Salviating.
Kruger.
Actually, we're gonna have to make that merch now. A Kruger bib. Just
I have to run, guys, but thanks for having me on for a minute. I'm going to eat dinner with the family. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.
I'll see you. I'll see you during the week sometime. I was going to ask about this, but you're going to head off. But we'll talk about it anyway. All right, see you, mate.
Sounds good. All right, later.
So this, you want to talk, Aaron, because you were mentioning it just before, so I'll let you continue. But it's the the Consolidated Outland ship from the
Yep.
Squadron 42 clip from not this CitizenCon just gone, but the one before.
So yeah, it was just a massive big ship, but
Mm.
you flew by and everyone went, "Oh, it's a Pioneer! It's a Pioneer!" Well, but it does,
Yeah.
There's a ship that CIG have got in that's consolidated or looks consolidated. The question is it the actual consolidated ship, and is it a ship they will attribute to them? Is it a ship they'll sell?
So one of the reasons, besides the obvious massive kind of bridge area, is the Pioneer itself has these exact same panel lines on it. So there is a lot of similarities between this and the Pioneer, and you can even
The original Pioneer build, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, it's even on the new one. They've got the same panel lines. But the other thing that you can point out here, you see on the surface here, you can kind of see these tanks and stuff. That's what me and Grim were talking about, is in regards to refinery.
Yeah.
I'd be really surprised if this thing doesn't turn out to be some kind of refinery ship down the line. The other one he was talking about, though, I hadn't seen, so I'll have to go through that with him in the week when he's got some free time. But
yeah, no, that'd be a good thing to do. But I wouldn't be surprised to see, and we do need a larger refinery ship, so I could see that being a ship they pull in. And if it's bigger than a Pioneer now, then that just gives them more to work with. But I fully expect with the Pioneer coming, we're going to see smaller consolidated ships just to fill out that family to help them build the library out. So
Chad in YouTube, if you want to get on Discord, man, get on the Discord and get into the general voice, and we'll drag you up and you can talk about your issue. He's having some problems with his ships. So Chad, if you want to jump in.
Yep.
We'll
do another one.
It's just easy to do it in voice, man, because it's just quick and to the point, and we don't have to go backwards and forwards. We can just talk about it. So if you want to jump in to Discord, we'll go through it with you, no problem at all. God damn it, my camera, I'm rotating the wrong way.
Yep.
It's fluffing in the wind because of the air conditioner. So I'm just fix it. But yeah, long story short, I do hope we see more consolidated outland ships. It's something I brought up with you for years now. It never made sense to me to have a Mustang. This is back when it was just a Mustang and the Pioneer. I said to you, this don't make no sense.
Yeah, there's got to be other stuff in between to help them build that out. Otherwise, based on that, you would have expected the
What's with you today? Why?
Oh, I've gone blank again.
Sorry, cat's just coming back every 5 minutes. It must be food time or something.
Something's triggering the cat.
Well, I haven't seen him for a couple of days. He normally clings to me like crazy, but then he's gone out been chasing stuff for 2 days, and he's just come back and he's real clingy all of a sudden. Something's happened. Anyway, it's all good.
But you'd expect the Endeavour to be out before the Pioneer, based on how many that gap. If there's nothing in between, just because there's no library.
Well, it shows you how important base building has become. Like it's been a pivotal shift, like to the point that I would assume most of last year was working on base building, right?
Yep.
And when you work it through, think about what it adds to the game. And I know you and I talked about this, so I'm kind of preaching to the choir. But it's insane. Like, it's essentially doubled the size of the game. And it is the fundamental difference, as me, you, and Space talked about at the beginning of last year, between Star Citizen and Squadron. It is the fundamental multiplayer component of it. And I would go as far as to say, don't you think at some point they'll put base building into Squadron? And what I mean by that is a small section where you've got to rebuild a hospital, or you know where I'm going, right? Like something like that. Just for fun, and I'd be pretty sure that would come in at some point. So yeah.
Okay, well, Chad's being dropped into our chat.
Did you change his role to Merlin?
I gave him a Merlin role.
Oh, drag him in.
So hey, Chad, you should be able to talk if you've got a mic.
Hello. Oh, I heard it.
Yeah, no, I do have a mic. How are you guys doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
Loud. I'll just lower your volume down before you deafen me.
Are you at home or at work, or where are you?
I am at home.
Yeah, I had the door closed, so I assume you were at home. So,
yeah. No, I just shut the door to my office. Yeah, thank you guys for the opportunity to be on and chat with you. I was not expecting that at all, but appreciate the invite.
No problem. This is the second one today, so no problem at all.
Yeah. So I'm going to start it off and say, what are the 3 professions you actually want to do?
Well, before you go
what your ships are.
Well, I was gonna say, before you go into fix my fleet, how about you just ask me what the problem is first, and then
Yeah,
go.
what's your problem?
So what's the problem?
Yeah, and not so much a problem as a consternation, right? So currently, I have my game package is an LTI Intrepid, and then I have a standalone Vulture with tenure, right?
Yep.
And I kind of love doing a little bit of salvage, a little bit of mining if I can. So working up to mining, I'm fine, working back and earning a prospector or something like that. Partly why I was weighing the Vulture over the Fortune in terms of a starter salvage ship, which is my non-combat activity that I'm preferring to start out with, is that I think you can fit a rock in the back of a Vulture if you really jam it in there. And that opens up the possibility of ground mining to me, which I don't think you can do with a Fortune. And I don't think that you can really fit much beyond a PTV or STV in there.
That is one thing I've never tested, but can anyone confirm that you can fit a rock in the back of a Vulture? That's not something I've tested. I think it's a height issue. I could be wrong on that. I've never tested that. Have you tested that, Algared?
I've never tested it, and I do fly my Vulture quite a lot.
Yeah, so we'll just crowdsource it. Chat. Anyone in chat ever put a rock in the back of a Vulture? Is that a thing? Or can you find a video?
Yeah, I haven't tested that yet personally either.
Yeah.
It's just hey, this would be cool. And I haven't had a chance to go grab a rock in game.
Well, initially my brain goes to, you've got one with LTI, you've got one without LTI. Why don't you take melt the Vulture and essentially upgrade it back into another Vulture or Prospector? And then when Invictus comes around, there'll be another LTI token, pick that up and then upgrade that into the second one. And then essentially just preference whatever is your preference, salvage or mining, and get that ship for now, and then just hold out to Invictus. And what are we out?
Sure.
What, 3 months out from Invictus, if that? So I'm sure you can hold out for 3 months, and up to you. But yeah. What is your preference?
The problem then is an Intrepid or a Reliant Tana to go with that ship, because I do love like a little bit of role play.
Oh, I thought you were. Sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you wanted like a Vulture and a Prospector. I thought you wanted a miner and a Vulture.
No, sorry, my bad. No, I misconstrued that. I'll buy into the Prospector through in-game currency. That I'm fine doing.
Okay, so salvage is your preference.
Salvage is my preferred starting profession. In addition to, I should say, I'm primarily doing like merc work, bounty hunting stuff, low-level bounty hunting stuff. And I've been doing that in my Intrepid, which is nice.
Yeah, and Algared's going to want to know, because this is how he is. He wants to know, is that your first preference? So can you give us your top 3 profession preferences? So salvage, mining would be maybe your second. What is your top 3?
If I had to say top 3, it's probably...
This is where he throws the curveball. I was like, I knew he's going to throw a curveball. I just saw that coming. Yeah. No, it's
that's where I like to have like kind of a yin yang style of gameplay, right? So I like to have like FPS style gameplay for my more high adrenaline stuff, going in, shooting people up. But then when I want to chill and not engage in combat as much, just kind of have a relaxed time in the verse, that's where I lean on salvage. So that's kind of my
I got to agree. Salvage is very.
Yeah. I'll never forget the time that guy came in and goes, "Oh, the Reclaimer's my favorite ship. He's got like 10 grand worth of ships, doesn't own a Reclaimer." Like, what the fuck? Like, I was just like,
but my favorite ship. I want to do this gameplay, and you look at his. Where's your Reclaimer?
Yeah. It was just like night and day. But So I'm trying to think. There really isn't a first-person tailored ship until you kind of get up to like some of the other drop ships. And talking to the military guys, that'd probably be the Redeemer at the moment.
Sure.
For that small squad drop-off.
I like a small, like single-person ship, I should say, and that's what my Intrepid currently is. It's just like going out to bunkers, going out to remote sites or outposts, doing FPS stuff, looting, filling up a box, and taking it back home. That's really what I use that ship for most. But it would be nice to open up the possibility of a little bit higher-end bounty hunting, which is where I have a deep love for the Reliant Tana as well. And I would think upgrading my Intrepid to a Tana could be a good move, keeping in mind that I would have that Vulture or Fortune for doing a little cargo hauling if I need, or doing salvage.
Okay, well, the times I go out with John Citizen, we do bunker stuff. We usually take a Pisces C8R because of the bed respawn, or a Cutlass Red. that would probably be the two at the moment. And the Cutlass Red can obviously still have some cargo in it as well. So that would be an upgrade over the Intrepid if you want that type of thing. Obviously, you also get a medical ship out of that. But again, I think that's a very now ship. It's probably not a ship that you may want to keep for the long term. I think it would be the same thing for the Intrepid itself. You mentioned the Tanner before. The Tanner has massive issues when it comes to combat, which is the same reason why we're pretty... Look,
but I love it so much.
Yeah. And I do too. It's that whole... bounty hunter slave, right? slave 2 from Star Wars. I just need to find this.
I was thinking that just in terms of bounty hunting, for a starting bounty hunting ship, I was thinking the Hawk. It's small. Admittedly, it doesn't. You can't really use it for bunker missions to take off cargo, but you do have a.
I just go tight.
Prisoner. You've got
honest, but that's me.
Well, and the other benefit of the Tana is that it has a bed for bed logging, which I know is not long term going to be required. However, in the short term, having a bed is really a handy feature for me, because I do pretty quickly sometimes have to turn around and log out and go do stuff or whatever. So having that option is nice.
So maybe this, when it comes, might be for you, right? A bigger Tana. That's what I'm. Well, Algared threw this out at one point and just said, "What if it's a reworked Tana series?"
Yeah,
and it could well be.
I would love that. Yeah. Right. Or a Reliant variant-y type ship, just because.
And I would argue that that's a lot more slave 2 than the Reliant is. It's a lot more.
I was actually going to ask about that, because I was like, the option C in my initial question was going to be, or should I just keep my fleet as it is and wait and see if this is a Drake heavy fighter or a Reliant rework or something like that.
Based on the way the Reliant works, I don't think this is any form of combat because of the problems they had with the Tanner. It's really obvious to me that vertical winged craft are kind of more suited to roles that are non-combat, right? So I would, like Algared and I, well, again, let's look at the Tanner series, right? Algared and I would say the Sen, the Mako, and the Core, they all work here. It's really the Tanner that suffers the most from this design flaw. Would you agree with that, Algared?
Yeah, it just... Yeah. There are issues in just the way it flies and the size. It just, it's probably big bonus is the fact that it's two people and you've got that rotating turret gun. But
are you intending to finding friends and stuff as well down the line? Like, is that a part of your whole thing, or?
To a degree, yeah, and that's kind of why I love the Tana as well, is that it gives me that second seat to go take people on scenic tours through the verse. Be like, check it out, look what everything is, and it has such a nice.
It was the other guy that mentioned the Zeus, not you, right? The other two ships I think you need to chuck in there then is the Cutlass Blue and the Marky Mark, or the Zeus MR, because like I've even picked up I've got one of my ships that I kind of like step up into things, right? That I just as I'm going up the chain, and I've got it sitting at a Marky Mark. Because it's the most interesting Zeus, I think, of all of them. And when that comes out, it's essentially is like, is this going to steal all the limelight of the Cutlass Blue? It's slightly small in the Cutlass Blue. It's got the 2 turrets on it. Like, I've just got questions about that ship, and I think it's probably the more interesting too. Sorry, Algared, go ahead.
And both of those ships have both cargo as well as the pods for prisoners. So. Yeah, it gives you that ability just to tie in with your FPS bounty hunting.
Absolutely.
Now as a
we'll see if
as a lover of the Reliance, based on the fact that this has and if you can't answer this, just feel free. I don't know, but based on the fact that more than likely has to fly vertically because it's got one big wing and one small wing, do you think that this would still be Drake? Or do you think it is? What's your tell me your thoughts? Do you think this is Drake? Do you think it's something else? What's your kind of thoughts on that? It's curious to know.
And thank you. The kind of overall design and aesthetic and movability does say Misk, maybe Mirai, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a Drake. It kind of gives mini Corsair vibes to me. Truly looks like a very small, like Corsair type, but again, I don't know where in the stack of Drake ships that would fit, because it would almost be like the same as a Cutlass, right?
I think most people can just not let go of the wings, because the wings do look incredibly Corsair, But when you break it down, the Corsair has 3 wings.
And
It does.
This doesn't have
And when
3
you-
wings. Go ahead, Algared. Go ahead.
I'm just going to say, and when you look at it, people want this to be the Drake Heavy fighter. You look at the size
Yeah.
of the pilot to the ship. That's a massive ship.
Agreed. And
to
that's
be a
kind
heavy
of what I
fighter.
think.
And then you look at the surface area of the wings on that.
Mm.
And to me, that says you don't want that to be a heavy fighter.
No.
God help you. if it's a heavy
And
fighter.
I
The
could see
surface
it
area
being.
is just going to make it.
Someone just said in chat it could be a new manufacturer. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Based on the manufacturers they
be.
have, right here is probably one of the biggest reasons it's not Drake. That is clearly like a dome or a sphere. That's not Drake. Drake don't have big round curves like that. They have real boxy, angled, cheap construction, right? And you
The
add
other
that.
one that I'll throw out just as a wrench in the spokes, it could be a CO ship. It could absolutely be another one kind of branching in as they're working on the Pioneer. It could totally be CO with some of those hard lines.
You even look at
and I know a lot of people are on the wings, but it could be CO, man. They like angles, and there's a lot of angles on the ship.
Yep, it could be. Also, the engines back here are incredibly similar to the ones that are on the some of the Star Lancer and the Prospector itself. If you look at the new, not the Prospector, sorry, the Misfortune, it has these new kind of not round, but they're like elongated oval things. I don't know how else to explain that, but that is very similar to that. It's got that long thing. So yeah, I don't know. Well, it's definitely the most interesting ship in the Blue Silhouette video. But I just want to ask your opinion because we don't meet many people that are big Reliant fans. So yeah.
Yeah, I am. I'm big into one. So in spite of everything that we've said today, I'll just throw out as a last note: Logic may or may not win out, and I may just end up with a Reliant and a Vulture or Fortune. I do love Misk; they're my go-to manufacturer. So
maybe look at some other Misk ships then. It's really weird because I wouldn't associate Misk with first-person shooter combat.
That's where like I'm not like a PvPer. It's very much so PvE and very. I don't know. I get into games through kind of like setting a role play for myself.
You know what I've just realized, and I'm interrupting you, that you should start looking at Mirai. I think that's the ship that'll come down. It's obviously not there yet because we've only really kind of got the Bike, the Fury, and the Guardian. But I would imagine a little bit down the line, we might see a Mirai ship that falls into what you're looking for. And I think the other one I'm going to throw out there for you to look at as well, Algared, I think you'd agree, is the TAC. He probably wants to have a look at that.
Yeah.
That does do the dropship thing. It's Misk. It would allow you to drop people off. It would allow you to do the bunkers.
It would allow you to do a small snub fighter.
If you want one,
and
right?
You can fit, RSI or NERSA in there and throw that in the back.
So if you want one for right now, maybe instead of having 2 ships, what if you just had the one? Just throwing that out there.
It's true. I have thought about that. And because I'm just a high maintenance customer here, I don't love big ships, and when I say big ship, I mean
that's a large ship, but
it's just a little bit too big, right? Like even the Spirit is too big for me, and that's more just a surface area thing. I think its wings are too large for what it is. It needs like 2 meters cut off either side. But those ships just on your own can feel a little large and a little bit.
This guy's one bigger is bigger, but this guy wants a small one. Okay, sure. There's a sexual innuendo joke there, but I'll leave it alone.
That's I'm not compensating your comments.
I saw a comment in about the silhouette from Shady Phase. He says, Kruger calling it now. Benoit's going to love you.
Yeah. Well, the other one, actually, I'll ask you one more question because this is another one. See next to Algared there, I'll just move it up a bit. See that fin?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me another ship that's got fins like that. There's only one in the entire game.
And where next to Algared?
Algared, point to the fin. Algared, point to the fin for me. Other side, Algared. That one. That fin, right where his finger is.
That fin.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What ship?
I do know that.
You should know it because we were just talking about it. The Reliant. It's the only
I
ship
was
with those fins.
Little tail fins on the Reliant, the same one. That's true. No, that's a great point.
It's got 4 of them. That's the only one that's got that.
So I know you guys have talked before and said, and I'm sorry, I was watching the YouTube stream, so it was like delayed. That's why I didn't see the fin you were talking about.
It's all good. It's all good.
Well, initially I got the wrong finger. So
you can also, if you want to see it live, man, you're on the Discord, you can just watch my live stream and it'll be live.
Yeah, that's exactly what I just pulled up now.
Cool,
Because
cool.
you know, smooth brain.
And you get to see behind the scenes.
We're taught now.
You can see what me and Algared see, all the shit around,
you
around the background.
you see our chats
behind the
and
curtain.
Algared's eye patch, his wooden leg, you know.
That's right.
And it's gold old man Hurston statues in the background. I see it all.
Girls, man, like that. You wouldn't guess they looked. You wouldn't guess they looked like that, would you? But
No, not at all. They're so shiny. I think I can see my own reflection in them. So this
that's my statue.
Good,
you
right?
with girls are totally different.
One thing that I know you. Sorry, Algared. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, I was just making a comment about the statues and you with girls. That's all.
Important things.
Yeah, important things.
So the other thing that I will say about that ship, it could very well be Mirai, and I know you guys have talked before that the Reliant series should really be under the Mirai banner. So what if, I mean, by lore, the Reliant was when Misk was like, hey, we're going to partner up with the Xi'an, use their technology, build this, and after that moment is when they made Mirai. They were like, all right, we're going to lock this in. Boom, we make this brand, and that's what this ship is the updated kind of. We took that technology from the Misk Reliant and made the Mirai.
We did that ourselves.
Yeah.
We actually went through that and we said, wouldn't it be kind of cool to think of how Mirai came to be? I would only say the Tanner needs to be Mirai. Much like I'd say the Tac should be Mirai as well.
I'd even argue that the Mist should be Mirai. Taking the arguments.
Sorry,
because
the Reliant.
No,
the Mist.
The Mist.
The Misery. Yeah, he's right. Yeah, I agree with you.
I could see them pulling that across, but go on.
I was just going to say, I think the thing that keeps it from being Mirai and that it's okay that it's Misk is because they're not using that Xi'an engine technology. And I think they are in the base Freelancer.
Yep, but Freelancer was actually the first ship built leveraging Xi'an tech.
Incredible.
Yep.
Okay.
It was essentially
It was like their transitory period where they were kind of shifting over, but yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Algared, it was the right to construct the whole series in their Zion space in return for the engine tech.
Yep, and stuff like that. And then, the Freelancer is the first ship to take on a lot of the Xi'an technologies and knowledge.
Doesn't look like it's going to be the only one. Only one though.
Sorry?
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to be the only one because of Consulted Outland as well.
Yep, and then the Reliant was the next step where they used a lot more. But
so long story short, I am kind of interested to see where this one pops out. But I'll be really surprised if it's Drake just based on the developers we talked to, Algared, and I think you'd agree with me on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it probably makes the most sense for it to be Misk or Mirai because they are really trying to flesh out that line, and we know they're kind of designing manufacturer by manufacturer. RSI is finishing up, except for the big ships. Drake, if the Ironclad had been released already, I'd say it's a higher chance that it was a Drake ship, but I think it's most likely going to be Misk based on design.
All right, as for your own stuff, I think you really need to have a think about if you're ever going to play with other players, because when it comes to first-person shooter stuff, a lot of the stuff that I've learned through the military guys is this is going to work best in teams, like little crack squads. Like you see in the movies and the TV shows, like the cops don't go in alone; they go in with a partner, or they go in like you've seen in Counter-Strike and all that. It's a squad-based type of approach to this stuff. I don't think you're going to find that, like if all you ever want to do is play on your own, then yeah, go nuts. But I think most people, and the way the game is designed, they are actively encouraging us to, like, it's all about the teamwork makes the dream work. And I think you're going to find that you'll set yourself a lot better long term with a ship that, like, do you have friends that are even remotely interested in this game? Or you are?
Oh, yeah. No, I do play with people. My dad got me into the game a little over a year ago now.
So here's your homework.
Thanks, Dad. Him and I play together all the time.
Then here's your homework. Go talk to your dad and say, am I better to buy a ship that I can use with other people and do the gameplay I want, which is the first-person shooter stuff, or should I just play on my own? And I think you'll find if he's played long enough, he'll tell you, set yourself up for team stuff. And again,
no, and he will. We talk about this stuff all the time. Yeah, cool. I really appreciate your guys' input and opinion on it because
and if
you guys have a different perspective.
well, again, we have to because we're giving generalized advice. But again, if you are playing, if you've got 2 ships, Algared would agree with me. You're better to merge them together and get one bigger one because you are essentially you can earn backwards, right? So you could essentially have that Starlance attack and use that to earn a Drake Vulture or a Prospect or whatever much easier than having 2 and trying to go up because both 2 are smaller. Just from what you've said today, I think you really need to have a hard look at what you're planning to do, and it might not be the tack, it might be a Redeemer, it might be, because again, a Redeemer, like based on what you've told me, if I was to sit here and do a Fix My Fleet and you had unlimited money, I would be saying, based on the military guys I've talked to, it would be a Redeemer, maybe a Paladin, but I think the Redeemer's better for you because you mentioned the FPS stuff, and that's tailored as inserting people. And for a long time they've mentioned it's the FPS ship for people that don't need a ship. Because honestly, first-person shooter is really on foot, right? You don't super need a vehicle. But if you're going to get a ship to go with that, it's clearly tailored at inserting you in, and it's got that aggressive combat stance, right?
Sure.
But you also want to do other things. So
and
that moves it from the Redeemer to something that's a bit more everyday, and the tax step back towards that.
And here's another point. What's your dad into? Like, if you and your dad play together, and your dad's into that as well, why not one of you go take the FPS ship and one of you go another line, and then you cover two with one stone. And
does your dad already have attack, or does your dad have a big vulture type thing? Because again, I know there's this problem with if you only own a few ships, it's nice to have the ships to play with now. But again, you can go play other games and come back to Star Citizen when it's ready. But if you play it all the time, exactly. If you play it all the time, you are inclined to have more ships because you want ships to play with now. So again, we can sit down with you and do a Fix My Fleet if that's what you want to do. In fact, what I'd love, Algared, we could do is we get him and his dad.
Now that would be a nice Fix My Fleet.
That would be sick.
Father and son. I could talk to him and see if that's something.
I can imagine your dad saying, "No, you don't want that ship."
Yeah, but again,
that's the ship I want to get.
Again, and you're not bound to anything me and Algared say. It's only ever our advice, and we've never had. I think I've mentioned a few times we got very close to someone having trouble, but it actually became trouble. But then it actually became You remember the guy that he got kicked out of his org, Algared, because he appeared on the Fix My Fleet. But it turned out he went and made his own org with all his own friends, and he's heaps better now. Because he wasn't restricted by the same bullshit his org was restricted.
Yeah, was that the one where the org had said, "Don't buy, only buy these ships"?
No, that was another one. But they kicked him out of the org because he mentioned their org name, and he appeared on Fix My Fleet.
Oh dear me!
And I just went and talked to him, and I said, "Do you have other friends that play the game?" And I talked to him for a couple of days, and then within a week, he started a new org with his actual real life friends. And he asked them if they wanted to play the game with him, and they he brought them all a starter ship and stuff like that, and they started coming into the game and playing with him. All of a sudden, instead of just playing with these random strangers in an org that was really a bit narcissistic or trying to take him and control him, because he had all these ships, he left that org, took all these ships with him, so they lost him. And then
it sounds like you got the wrong group of friends for sure.
So it wasn't
say that you play games with us.
Yeah, it wasn't a ship problem; it was a social problem. And in the end, it just highlighted that to him, and it fixed an underlying issue. So it wasn't something me and Algared created. In a weird turn of phrase, we helped fix it, but it wasn't anything we directly did. Yeah. But we don't get complaints because we just go through. It's a much more customized approach, and we again, that's why we did a couple of these today, because it just makes it more personalized, and it shows that we don't
I
just don't tell people what to do. We work with them, not against them.
Yeah.
Well,
I always love the biggest thing. And you guys are great to talk with.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with Fix My Fleet is just working with someone and saying, "Hey, these are the options. These are the things I'd look at doing based on what you've said."
Yeah.
Or even saying, "Why have you got X, Y, and Z when you've said this?" And they go, "Oh yeah," and then they say, "Oh yeah, I meant to melt that or turn it into something else," and it's just helping people work out.
Partly our knowledge, partly intervention, isn't it? In a weird way.
Yeah, don't do what we did.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
No, absolutely.
me and Aaron learned pretty much like he's learned things from my mistakes as I've learned things from his mistakes. That's all it really is. It's just we didn't want people to go through the same shit we went through. And again, like Jam Fam today, like when he did that, I was just like, oh, rookie mistake, bro. But
Yeah.
again, I that's the thing. We're trying to help people not make those mistakes. There's a thank you, this mech rider, for the tier 1 sub on Twitch. Really appreciate it, mate. G12 when? When Origin is worth a damn. That's when. No.
Yeah.
Again, there's no. I don't think it's a really high priority, but again, all 3 of those variants would work, except the AA at the moment.
I think they said they're getting to it right after the 600i rework. Pretty sure.
Yeah, so sometimes between now and never.
And never.
Because that 600i thing is going to be... Like, the whole reason they showed off the artwork for that was a way for them to essentially go, this is what we're planning to do so it still keeps selling. But they knew it was in a really bad place.
It, yeah.
Yeah, just don't melt it. Hype it up so people buy it even more, which is what happened. But it was real obvious as soon as it came out. Me and Ag were like, that's 2, 3, 4 years away now. Because they wouldn't mention the rework. They'd just go, oh, by the way, we've redone it. Anyway.
Yep. Well, yeah, no, again, I definitely appreciate you guys' time here. I don't want to take up too much more. I'll just say if I'm not an FPS player, I will describe my gameplay as more just being like a fringer. I'm just a salvager, fringer, spacer, living on the edges of the verse, exploring and doing stuff as I do. But I'm a very casual player at that, right? I'm happy just going out and seeing the sites. So that's
all right then. Well, you go talk to your dad and get back to me or Algared via Discord. Just shoot us a message and we'll get that organized and go through it with you and your dad. And also having your dad there, it's also good to have a soundboard essentially to bounce off because it's not just me and Algared giving you our opinion. You've got your dad there that you know really, really well, and he's not going to bullshit. He's just going to tell you like it is.
Totally,
he's going to go, these two Aussies are fucking whack. Don't listen to a word they fucking say.
You don't know my dad. He probably will bullshit me. So it's a different
we'll
story.
get up really well then if that's the case. Yeah, all right, man.
But I think working up both of those fleets and making them so they dovetail together would be, I think, could be certainly probably save you both a bit of cash.
Yeah, and it'll just give you a better headspace because it sounds like you've get these people to overthink it. It sounds like you've done a lot of talking and.
That is a distinct possibility, something that I habitually do, is overthink everything.
Now,
clear lack of direction, so yeah.
I do have a question for you, X. Has the bot stopped again?
Yes, it has.
And B, are you going to stop the bot?
I don't know. I don't know how many questions we got. We got too many? All right, well, you can head off.
Well, we've got half a dozen left, but if you restart the bot so we pick up any questions that are in there, we've probably got a page or two.
All right, well, thanks for stopping by, mate. Just get back to me, Algared, and just drop out whenever you're ready, man. All right.
Of course. You guys have a good rest of your day, evening, year, month, whatever it is. Take care.
No worries, Chad. Take care.
Bye.
Be well.
The bot is starting back up, but I don't know if there's
more
questions.
The bot is starting back up, so it's going to hopefully pull in any questions that have been missed.
All right, we'll just start reading them in because, as you said, we've got about 15 minutes left. But this has been a really interesting show because it we went from not enough questions and it kind of forced us, but it put us into this weird path. But I enjoyed today. It was interesting. It was a bit more like Fix My Fleets, but anyway.
Yeah. Oh, a couple of online Fix My Fleets. It's join our live stream to get online Fix My Fleets.
Maybe we should do more of those around Invictus then. Just before Invictus, we'll do some live Fix My Fleeting. But we'll see.
Oh, well, they're fairly easy for us to do.
Yeah, but
just bouncing ideas based on what we've learned in the past, and
it just helps reassure people though. But it'd be good for new people coming along, like on free flies or what's the best starter ship for me to pick up, and blah blah blah. You go with that. So yeah. All right.
So C. Nolan had a question, which was, which images one ships from the stream with Space Tomato, the Wrecking Ball thing?
Oh, I only got one, and I think you're the person, Nolan, and that's probably why you're asking. So I've got to give Nolan a ship as well. I can find his goddamn name. He did say I sent it to Space Tomato, so it should be there as well. But I'll open this because I thought it was pretty funny. Hang on, I'll flip it over. I've got to have a good laugh at this. Hang on, this one.
Yep.
I knew he would. and like me and Space will pick it up all the little details about like how buff Space is. My shoes getting knocked off.
The only problem is, old man Hurston's not there.
Well, you weren't in the episode. It was just me and Space.
Okay.
So you obviously didn't watch the episode, but there was a thing about a wrecking ball in the episode. You had to kind of watch it, and I basically said the person that does the best.
I like that Space is in his underwear.
Best picture of Space on a wrecking ball. And I'll give him a ship, but this is the only one I got, so that's all good. But it's very good, very good.
Yep.
So reach out and I'll try and find a ship to give you. We've got some there, so yeah, just reach out, Nolan, and just send me your email because I know you've already reached out, but just send me your RSI email and I'll find something for you to send to you. It's not going to be like a damn Guardian or something like that, but I'll.
And it's not going to be a Fortune.
No, it's not going to be a Fortune because we gave that one away already.
We gave that away already.
But yeah, I'll find something. I don't know. It could be something small. I don't know. I just have to look through what I got there. I just haven't had a look in a while. So yeah. I know we've got some pack that came with the MPUV and like a vehicle or something. Maybe I'll give him that. Hang on, I'll have to have a look. See if I can find it real quick.
If it's a starter pack, hang on, because it'll be one of those good ones to give it the 12 packs type.
Yeah. Well, we didn't do that in.
No, we didn't do that this year because we were kind of gallivanting
and exhausted. But we'll probably get back to it at Invictus. Yeah, I've got the Luminalia one there. What have we got here? I'm pretty sure there was some kind of pack that they gave us, and you got this one, didn't you, as well? I gave you a code. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I gave you a code for it, yeah? That's the one. That's the one we got from the Bar Citizen.
Yeah, I've got that.
Just want to make sure. And I think the other one I gave to Piss4 Pete.
In fact, there's the code that you gave me.
You ever used it yet or not?
Yeah, so I'll put it on screen.
Yeah, someone's just stolen it.
Can't be used. Doesn't matter, I've already claimed it.
Yeah.
If I hadn't claimed it, I wouldn't have put it up there.
Yeah. Let's have a look. I'm still looking here. I've got a Nomad. I'll get rid of that piece of junk. Man, I swear there was a thing here. I have to look through and find it.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to go on the next question? Here we go. Invictus. There we go. RSI. So you get an Ursa Medivac and an MPUV tractor. I'll give you that, and you get an Aura and MR. So you're getting 3 ships.
3 ships with LTI.
Yep. Does that work for you? Because essentially that's 3 LTI tokens. That's why I'm thinking about giving it to him.
Yep, that's 3 LTI tokens. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So what would you can have that, or you can have just a starter. But it's up to you, man. You pick what you want. I'll talk to you about it when we do it, Nolan.
Let X know. Yeah. And in the meantime, Dirty Garden Gnome says, "Do you believe we will eventually be able to shift from a Polaris to something like a Kraken with upgrades?"
I think a lot of it comes around to laws around the $1,000 money laundering laws in the States. So the fact that we've never seen it, I tend to move towards the no territory. And I can give another example of a long-term bet that I'm essentially making here. So I did pick up at IAE. God, how far back did that go? What page was it on? Trying to make a long story short. Here we go. Pioneer. So I got a Pioneer with 10 years insurance, right? Now, currently the price of this thing is $925, but based on the 10%, right, 10 to 20% upgrade, that means that this thing will be more than likely go over $1,000. Based on what we've previously seen. Now, what happened? We only have one example of this, Algared. But what happens when ships go over $1,000 in Star Citizen?
And they become limited.
To reference, I'm talking about the Endeavor Master Set with the second Biopod module that they added.
Yep, they just retroactively added to everything.
What did they add to everything?
They added the second Biopod to everything.
No. And then what happened to the pack?
Oh, it went up in price.
And then what happened?
And it's not that, I can't tell you.
It gained LTI. It gained LTI.
Oh yes, it did gain LTI because it didn't have LTI before,
Yeah.
and because it went over $1,000, the ship suddenly became LTI. And yes, if that becomes over $1,000, you would expect retroactively that to go from 10 years to LTI. Yeah.
And that's why I took the bet. So that's me betting that this is going to get LTI. Shit, bastard, got this. So many people yelling at shit. Got argued. How drunk are you? Anyway, it's fine. It's been a while.
Yeah, but I already had the ships with LTI, so I never thought about it.
Yeah. But again, that's why we do this, because you and I have different approaches. So long story short, that's what I'm hoping will happen with this. When they release it, it'll go up in price. It'll gain LTI. That's the bet I'm making. And if what do I do if it doesn't get LTI? I can just melt it.
Yep.
If I don't want it. Right? So no love lost.
And you'll use those credits, and you're going to use those credits elsewhere.
Exactly. So no love lost there at all. But that's a bet that I'm taking right now, right? Also, Chris gets a new 911. That's a car? Is it? I'm not a car person. Sorry. Yeah.
My betting was I would not buy any ships, and I'd just buy the upgrade pack. And
well, that's not going to happen.
Then
what did you say? $4,500 or something?
Yeah,
it was bananas.
If I use a voucher and war bond, I can get it for $3,900.
But what they've done is that they used to be like in every ship pack, and Algared used to buy that, right? Then they started adding all the armors and all the skins, and it's the armors and the skins that have really put it over the top.
They've always added all the armors and skins, but as the year went on, I knew every time they brought out more armor and more skins and more bits and oh man, I said it to you several times. The end of year price of that pack is going to be exorbitant.
But it's not just the look; it's every color as well. Yeah, so an armor comes out for $30 in red, $30 in white, $30 in gold. You're paying for all
everything
of those,
goes in.
And it's like you don't need all of that. You probably just need your favorite color, and that's it. So yeah. I don't say that he needs to stand up for all the people in the upper. What's it called? The Mile High Club, Legatus people, and say, "I want another pack that doesn't come with all the bullshit."
I have to admit, I would, being someone who likes the ships, I would like an end pack that just had the ships.
What's the epitome of the problem with packs in general is they come with all this fluff and having all those armors and stuff. Like, piss off, I'll buy them in
all
game.
the armors. Yeah. All the armors they bring out, all the skins they bring out, anything they sell, that gets added. They add that to the pack, that fluffs it out, which means
I'd love to see the
discount.
Wouldn't you love to see the data on how well armors sell compared to other things? So I think you could literally go armors, vehicles, ships, and ships would sell like in that. Ships are better than just based on what you're getting.
Ships are better than vehicles. Yeah. Vehicles are better than armor. Yeah. And then you've got all the weapons. Everything gets chucked in. And I know that's a result of, people like me when they said, what do you want in the pack? And we said everything. And so they've given everything. But when they bring out 20 ships or 20 variants of ships in the year, and you've got, the Ironclad, $500. That's two of those. That's $1,000 just there. Yeah. It becomes a very, very
well. It shows you the size of the game has got to now, and I've been trying to not beg, but try to motivate you to pivot a bit and tailor a bit more. I'm failing horribly, but I'm still trying to give him advice and say, stop buying more stuff. And you are. I'm going to be honest.
I've stopped buying stuff because I can't afford it.
Exactly, but
CitizenCon did that.
But I've also said to you, like, you should start, upgrading certain things and curbing and stuff a little bit like that. And I think I'm hoping that this is a little bit of a wake up call, so you can go back into those packs now and start upgrading some of those duplicate ships and stuff like that. So you do you. I'll put a little bit of pressure on you.
I still want to have all the ships, but I don't want to have all the armors and all the skins. Yeah, there's some skins I like, but 90% of them I don't. I'm the opposite of you. You'll grab every skin and then melt it and hold it in storage. Yeah. And I used to buy the ships and put them in storage.
I try to get one skin for every ship that I like, and I still think that's a lot of skins. That's a
It is a lot of skins.
Yeah.
But I don't want skins for every. I don't want a multitude of skins for every ship. And yeah, it's just me. It's just me breaking the OCD. Got to catch them all. And Citizen, Sandy couldn't get me to stop. You couldn't get me to stop. But going to Citizen Combat and Europe, that made me stop.
Well, maybe I'll get Chris and Sandy and me together, and we'll do an intervention next time we see them.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But anyway, that's just that's my.
I know who I can get you to stop.
Yeah. Be quiet.
I will talk to her.
No.
You're in real trouble now.
Anyway,
I'll just say,
Joshua Rassenberger.
Algared's got a special someone. I'll use her against him.
Joshua Rassenberger says, on cross manufacturers projects, what are your thoughts on Kruger and Mirai snub ships or mini carrier FFS snubs? Given that Kruger Intergalactic make basically, if you've got a ship, chances are it's using Kruger parts. If you've got a gun, chances are it's using Kruger parts. If you've got a vehicle, chances are it's using Kruger parts. That is basically their law. They are renowned for making the precision parts, and they're really, really good at it. And the reason they make a gun and the reason they've made a snub is because in one of their meetings they said, we make all the parts for this. Why don't we make our own?
So what if they made a ship that was a competitor to the Ares then? That would kind of...
I would love them to do that.
Yeah.
John, make it happen. John Crew, make it happen. A competitor ship to the Ares.
Yeah. It could be a thing.
It could be. So Kruger is probably one of the few brands that could realistically buddy up with any manufacturer, even Drake, and do a collab, because their parts are used in everything. So that's my view.
If they hadn't already made the Fury, I said it would have been really cool to, like a Merlin to a Fury type of thing, with the gun. But maybe that's why they didn't do that, because it had already been done with a Merlin.
And hi, Kelly. Lovely to see you.
Hey, Kelly.
No, I don't think we didn't talk about you. But lovely to see you. Always lovely to see you in chat.
No. Talking about Algared's special person. Yes.
Yeah. My OCD by ships. Sorry if you feel that was addressing you. It's probably addressing your partner's problems as well with ship buying.
When I try to explain it to, because I always meet these ladies that are like husbands of people that buy Star Citizen ships, and I have to explain, well, it's like women in shoes, and you just do that and they instantly understand what you're talking about. Anyway. All right, well, we got 3 minutes left, and we got like 4 questions left, Algared. So you want to do the next one, or do you want me to do it?
No, we've only got 3 questions left.
3 questions.
All
right. Dub Coyote says, why do you think the next manufacturer ship focus after Misk and Drake? Who do you think is the next manufacturer after ship focus on
Misk and Drake?
Solid outline.
I think it has to be consolidated. They've got We've got the Pioneer on the building blocks.
I think that's the other thing when we talk to Ben and John. I don't think they are just doing one manufacturer at a time, because it became really clear and I know this from my time making things in game development. Creative people get bored of doing repetitive tasks, so you can get one artist. They may just want to do Drake ships, so you can let them just do Drake ships, right?
Yeah.
But then you get the other guy who'll do Drake, and then he'll do a Misk, and then he'll do a consolidated outline, and he'll do different sizes and stuff like that as well.
And I think if you don't have that swapping around, then you end up as they get stale with that ship. The next ship they're using the same material, and it becomes a very dull ship in comparison. It's just the same. Whereas if you have 2 or 3 manufacturers running at the same time, you get the people to refresh, and then they come back and it's fresh again. But like you said, I don't think that they're just working on, say, Misk or RSI. They're working on 2 or 3 at the same time, but one's got the priority. This is our priority, but then we've got 2 that are also being worked on. And I think Consolidated has to be one of them that they're working on.
So just in chat, Chris asked, are there any unannounced Consolidated Outland ships? From everything we've talked to a few people, so has Grim, chances are that this is a Consolidated Outland. And if you think about how the Zeus and the Spirit went, right? Those two medium ships that kind of came out at the Citizen Cons, if this is a medium ship, it would make sense. But also knowing what else we talked about today, going from the Mustang and the Nomad all the way to the Pioneer, that's a massive gap. So you need at least two ships in there, a medium and a large, to fill those out. This is the medium, more than likely. Or if this is not it, there's at least a Consolidated outlet coming somewhere. And there's obviously another large coming as well. So, yeah.
And that's just to help them build out the library.
Yeah. And there's a few things here that speaks to why this Consolidated Outland. You've got these kind of triangular pieces in the ladder. If you go look at the stuff, the shape of the lights, and if Algared points to it there's also a leg. It's really hard to see, but there's a leg that's kind of on a diagonal angle. It's actually that angle.
About there. Hang on.
I've got my mouse pointer. Hang on. It's here. It's right
there.
It's right here.
I've got my finger on it. I did get my finger there.
Yeah, you can just make this angle down here, and there's an angle down here, and it actually then goes forward. So it's almost like the leg on the Mustang. If you go look at the what were the legs that are now the wings, it's got those as well. So we're pretty sure, and we've talked to a few people at CIG, and so was Grim, and we think we're on the mark with this one. So it's the things they've said. So or not said too in some cases.
I would love to see the Mustang go back to the wing landing. That made it so unique. And the frustration is they said, we've given it landing gear, so we get rid of the the problem of phantom landing gear or stuff. And then the very next ship had the same problem. So it was
so I'm referring to this because I also asked AI what they thought this ship was, and I said, based on the names of the Mustang, Nomad, and Pioneer, what would you call this ship? And they gave me like 10 names, but the best one, I think you'd agree with me, Algared, was Trailblazer. So you and I are going to refer to this as the Trailblazer until they name it. There's boinky
until it's named officially by CIG, but we'll call it Trailblazer because it's better than calling it the Flat Pancake.
Yes, it's actually.
So, as you said earlier, which I kind of agree with, I kind of like that. Moving on, second last question. Medical Walker says, greetings from Puerto Rico. Greetings. I really love the Liberator, and greetings from Sydney. I really like the Liberator. Do you think it'll make a good all-round transport ship?
So that's really tough for me because in most cases I find large ships can transport vehicles on their own. I think where the ship that is the ship that just does the ships, like we've essentially got the Ironclad Assault that does the vehicles, and then this that does both. I think the sweet spot is just going to be the one that does the ships. I don't know if you think different to that, Algared, but I think you'd agree with me. But
I think in answer to the question, will the Liberator make a good transport vehicle? Yeah. Will it make a good all-rounder? Will there be a better ship? Probably. If you've already got a Liberator, then it'll make a good all-round transport ship. It's a shipping ship. So that's got to work in its favour, but I can't say it'll be the best or there'll be a better one because at the moment we just don't know because we haven't heard anything new. So, but
I have to assume now that they've done the one that does both and then the one that does vehicles, that there's a third one coming.
And then it's a matter of just picking the one that best suits you, and that's ultimately the thing that comes down to. What you see as a good all-round transport ship may not be what someone else sees as a good all-round transport ship. And I know that sounds like I'm dodging the question, but I'm not trying to dodge it. I'm just aware of what different people think. So, but will it be a good transport ship? Yeah.
Essentially, what you're explaining is there's no perfect ship for anyone. I think long term, you basically just want to look at everything that's in the game and essentially find out what is the best one for you when it drops.
Yep, indeed. Yeah. And our last question for the day is from Battens and Insult, and it is: with there starting to be a lot of ships that overlap prices, do they need to bring back some kind of $0 upgrade? I don't think they want to bring back.
I think it's deliberate, so it forces you to buy it all over again, or wait for an LTI token. Either way, they get extra money.
Yeah, I think it's. I do think it's picking up what Executor said. It's CIG have looked at the data. They've looked at. We don't just use upgrades to go from the ship we've got to the ship we want. We're actually doing all the steps, and they're looking at it and going. Their marketing is looking at it and going, we can make more money.
Yeah.
How can we leverage this to benefit us? And that's a fair cop.
Yep.
And $0 upgrades don't help keep the lights on. And at the end of the day, that's what upgrades and ship sales are doing, keeping the lights on.
Now, we're going to be rating Bruce Green today. Some people might not know who he is. He is not a Star Citizen streamer normally, but he is playing Star Citizen right now. He's just downloaded the game and he's patching it. But he actually used to work for Rooster Teeth. So I thought it might be cool to go on and give him some support. He obviously doesn't need it because obviously he's going to have heaps of viewers in a while. But I thought that'd be kind of cool person to raid because we don't get to raid people like that very much. So we're going to do that. So Twitch say goodbye to YouTube. YouTube say goodbye to Twitch. If Bruce wants a question, ask him what he thinks of the patch. And is he glad that they're not doing the free fly? All right, with that then, I'll be along in a bit to say hello. With that then, bye Twitch, and they're gone. All right,
they're gone.
With YouTube then, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Thank you everyone that went the extra mile on Patreon at the end of the video.
Yep.
With that then, he's been Algared.
He's been Execute, and we're out of here. Take care.
See you, citizens.